Friday, Friday, Friday. Isn't that what the cool kids are still saying nowadays? Welcome everybody to 10-4 Broadcasting's coverage of tonight's race here with the High Octane Sim Series, race number 8, season number 3 here at Martinsville. Brought to you tonight by Captain Jack's Smokehouse. Checking out some of the pictures of the food from that place. Definitely looks like it's worth the road trip for me. And you people out there listening, who is this guy? Who's the new voice? Who's the new kid? Paul Strickland Jr. from southern New England, from the Connecticut area, here in the broadcast booth. Easy enough for me to say. Holy cow, the boss man's going to fire me already. Struggling with the English language. Paul Strickland Jr., Southern New England. Great to be here. Looking forward to 325 laps here at the Paperclip. But I am not up here alone. Kynan Jones, my new friend from down in Australia. This is great. This is going to be fun. We're my first race here with 10-4 Broadcasting. First time working with an Australian up in the booth. I'm excited.
I mean, that's not the only thing you should be excited for. Here we are at the Paperclip Martinsville Speedway. It's going to be a great night of racing. Going to be very close. You're not going to be able to really break away, but you can always expect a classic old bump and run. So it's going to be exciting all night round. People in chat, we do see you, so don't forget to say hi, and we will acknowledge you.
Live and interactive as we entertain the masses here this evening, and the energy. You can feel the energy in the proverbial room. It's almost like doing a scoop, nay, 2 scoops of W pre-workout powder. I love the stuff. Big fan, and man, oh man, it makes you focus, and you really got to get yourself some. W.GG. Definitely check those guys out as well. But getting qualifying wrapped up here tonight. Just getting ready to get these drivers out on the grid, and it's looking like that number 66 Toyota of Brandon 6 going to be out front for this one, with Matthew Batby in the number 89 car right by his side.
Brendan 6 in the 66 isn't a driver that I've really seen too much in the High Octane Sim Series. They've made one start this season, and they wasn't anywhere really in the points. So great to see a new driver up in front, especially taking it to last week's winner at Nashville Superspeedway, Matthew Batby in the 89. But then third place, Nick Alford hasn't won yet this season, been competitive all season long, but hasn't been able to bring it into victory lane. And then in the fourth place, Brendan Fetterplace in that Toyota Camry number 20 Bang Energy drink. Hasn't won since the preseason clash at the Coliseum, so he's going to be hungry to get a win on the board.
23 drivers showing up to the dogfight here tonight. 325 circuits around this racetrack on the docket this evening. You'll be able to see that starting grid going across your screen right now. Already made mention, Brandon 6 in the double 6. Going to be starting off on the pole. Brian, check that. Matthew Batby. It's going to take me just a moment here to get used to some of the names, the colors, the drivers, and all that good stuff. Like I said, new kid on the block here, and I'm trying my best to impress the masses here, but definitely bear with me as we get to learn all of the new friends here. And made mention, there's your starting grid on the front of your screen. We're getting these drivers lined up 2 by 2 by 2 all the way through, right behind that non-discriminatory, non-manufacturer specific pace car up at the front of the field, and we're getting ready to wave this green flag in just a moment's time. Just making sure everybody's got the virtual seatbelt pulled tight, making sure that virtual wheel, well, the real steering wheel rather, is attached to that desk. You definitely don't want that thing to fall off.
No, for sure. Currently, my wheel that I currently use is holding on to the rig by duct tape. Has served me well, but hopefully we don't have any wheel disconnects, because if you have a disconnect here, there's not really anywhere that you can go, and if we have a pile up, it's going to be big. Just a quick note, stage cautions will be on lap 84 and 169, so you have 7 sets of extra tires, but with the extra sets that we start on right now, 8 tires to make it 325 laps. It's going to be very exciting to see how people decide to play their pit strategy and see who can really come out on top tonight.
It's going to be a lot of fun here to watch. My broadcast debut here with 10-4 Broadcasting, and the first time that I'm going to be able to sit up here in the booth with Kynan Jones, Paul Strickland Jr., bringing all the action live here from Martinsville Speedway, and this is going to be a whole lot of fun. One more pace lap. The lights are off on the iRacing pace car. He's going to be coming down pit road here next time by. What do we have to look forward in this race here, Kynan? I know we got a lot of beating and banging. There's been some loose cars here a little bit throughout the past couple of hours. We've been watching these drivers do some practice laps. What do we expect tonight?
Well, with Martinsville and being such a tight short track, you gotta have to expect some very close racing. That's almost a given. But it's not going to be easy to pass here. We saw this in the real-life Martinsville race earlier this year, which William Byron ended up winning. So it's not going to be easy. So there's going to be a lot of bumping going on. But with that, we come out of turn 4, and it's time to go back to green on the paperclip for the first time here in the High Octane Sim Series.
And there you can see the number 66 car of 6 keeping that bottom side. He's going to clear the 89 car of Batby and take over the lead, and he's going to try and get around into turn number 3. May not even lead lap number 1. How about that 89 car of Batby crossing on over, grabbing that bottom line, lining those wheels up on that curb. He's going to lead lap 1.
Batby was real aggressive into 3, but then took it a little bit easier going into turn 1, but was able to get it slowed down while Brendan 6 in the 66 Camry just overdrove the corner and is stuck on that outside. He's going to get freight trained as he's unable to really find a gap and slide back in, which it seems like he's going to be able to now.
And it always takes just a couple of laps here, especially at Martinsville, where you usually only have one, maybe 1.5 grooves of racing here this early on, working lap number 3 of 325. And you can see he has slid back in to that 4th position, but it's going to take just a few laps to get his focus. You see a little bit of a wiggle there from Riley Hoots in that 24 car, but he holds on to it, and he's going to hold on to that 5th position for now. But back to the 66 car, it's going to take him just a minute to refocus, get back into the groove, and get back into it, as we have a battle for the lead between the 95 of Nick Alford trying to get up there. Oh, he's up there. Oh, no!
So far, I heard wheels screaming, and yep, they're stacking up.
And there you have it, the very first caution here of the night. And multiple cars now involved after seeing the smoke, and it's a tough thing to get around here at Martinsville Speedway. A lot of times when you see smoke, you lock up the tires, and unfortunately, there's just nowhere to go with a blocked racetrack with cars up in there. But we're going to back up that instant replay. Take a look, battle for the lead here on the 10-4 broadcasting replay here, and be able to see just what happened. We saw a little bit of a live shot there, but there you can see contact between the 2 front drivers, and then a little bit of a bumpski there from the 20 driver, and gets that number 95 up into the outside fence. The good news is there, not much damage. Wasn't that hard of a hit, and you can see some of the drivers kind of not really having anywhere to go, and made mention coming out of the turn like that. When you see smoke, you lock the tires up, and unfortunately, there may already be somebody already there.
Yeah, real unfortunate that it happened. It just looked like Nick Alford trying to get up the inside of Batby, drifted up ever so slightly, which then pushed them both up half a lane, which then invited the door for Brendan Fetterplace to start locking, but he just picked up the throttle a bit too soon as Nick Alford was resettling the car, and they end up coming together. And then luckily the damage seems to be fairly minimal, probably just some bruised tires, but with this track, tires aren't going to be a big of a deal compared to last week at the Super Speedway of Nashville, so thankfully drivers aren't going to need to worry about that, and with the lower speeds you're not going to be sliding the tires as much. But if you do get to the point of needing required repairs, luckily in the High Octane Sim Series we do have one fast repair.
100%, and really able to show that showcase these drivers different abilities to race at different tracks. Nashville Super Speedway last week, Martinsville this week, and then off to Kansas for 173 laps there. And it's gonna be big to say. You made mention tires, take them or leave them here at Martinsville depending on how the runs go, and it's gonna play a little bit of a factor here. We'll see who can get on and off pit road the quickest, and we'll see if anybody can maybe gamble just a little bit. We have seen many times with this new car where you can stay out as long as you need to on a set of tires, and it's going to be all about that gamble. Some say yes, some say maybe not so much.
Just a quick question for you, Paul. With how you run Martinsville, do you think that, say we get 30 laps green and then a caution comes out, do you pit for tires or do you decide to stay out and keep track position?
With how I run Martinsville, I'd probably be at the hot dog line. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Oh,
It's really tough to tell, and it depends on how the car's running. If the car's acting right, and you know that you can get into a really good rhythm with a long green flag run, and we get a couple of long green flag runs, that's going to be when you want to be out and really put in the work and really hit your marks and really kind of get up. Not so much race the other 22 drivers around the racetrack, but race the racetrack itself. And I think that's going to be the big key here tonight. But there goes the pace car. He's going to grab himself a couple of those hot dogs, maybe an ice cold Coke. We're going to take that green flag one more time as we cross the stripe for lap number 10. And there you can see the 89 car of Batby gets a beautiful restart. But that number 24 of Hoots right on his outside. It's a dogfight. It's a drag race for that first position.
Hoots and Batby being teammates for the Kenny Powered Motorsports team. So I'm surprised that there wasn't a bit more teamwork going in. It's going to allow Brendan Six to be able to get up the inside of Hoots for second position. Hoots being able to file into third position.
Richmond and Goodpaster rounding out the top 5 for now, and it looks like we're about single file for the most part all the way through the field. Get a little side-by-side action back there for 5th, and they figure it out. They get it sorted back up, and I think this might be where we see some of the drivers kind of step back just a little bit, try and hit those marks, try and concentrate on the racetrack, get into a groove, get into a rhythm. Before you can get out there and beat 22 other drivers, you really have to get comfortable and really get your momentum set up here at Martinsville.
Yeah, with a long race like this, it's sometimes best just to settle in, be like, okay, I'm giving up one position now, but I just want to find my groove, figure out how the car is driving, and we're back under caution. The 42.
42 car, Alan Bledsoe pointed in the wrong direction. See if we can't get that queued up on the old instant replay. You can see hammers that thing down and gets it spun around, pointed in the right direction, but losing a lot of track position in that incident from about mid-pack, it looks like. And we'll take a look at this W Energy instant replay and take just a little bit of a peek here and see what happened to the 42. You can see gets in there in about a lane and a half up the racetrack and coming on around out of the corners. What we made mention, watching some of these drivers in practice, the back end of these cars very, very loose early on in a run. So tough break for the 42 car, but luckily it was early on in the race. Still has plenty of time to try and recover from that one.
Yeah, you say plenty of time. We still have over 300 laps to do at the paperclip, so yeah, it's unfortunate to have it happen, but single car spin, and not only that, but was able to keep it all clean. And yeah, the tires are gonna be a little bit damaged, but with how the tires do wear in these things, it's not gonna be that bad, especially here tonight. The only biggest issue is going to be the track position, so gonna have to find his way to slowly pick through the field. He's been very quickly on the past couple of weeks, and hope your kid is alright, Bledsoe. No, there has been some little issues going on in the past, but hopefully everything's all good and we can see up here in the podium later tonight.
100%, and we can see not too many takers on pit road. Brian Messer coming down the 97 car, getting service to that machine. Might just be topping off on fuel, maybe saving some of those tires for a little bit later on in the race. And we made mention, tires definitely may or may not affect the racing action throughout the night here. 325 laps, a long way to go here. I'm not even going to try and do the math to see how many miles that is. I know it's only half, but I'm not very good with math. But fuel, you definitely need to pit at least a handful of times to get fuel, to get these machines topped off. And a lot of drivers starting to play the long game already. Getting the thing packed full of fuel, maybe making a shorter pit stop down the road just a little ways, and trying to get just a little bit more out of that gas tank than everybody else in the field.
Yeah, as soon as I decide to sit in the car, I'm already thinking, okay, how can I position myself to be best in position for the end of the race? And for a long race like this, sometimes it's best just to come in and take the fuel now. Track position will be a bit of an issue, but if you're going to be just taking it easy sometimes, and if you're in the back, it's sometimes best just to come in, take some fuel, and then later on you'll need to take less fuel later on, so it can be very beneficial.
And we've heard time and time again all throughout different racing broadcasts and different racing shows and series and all sorts of things, seconds on pit roads is miles on racetracks. And if you can pick up a couple of tenths here and there on pit road, it's going to mean multiple positions out on the racetrack. Track position very key for this short track here. And Speaking of keys, it looks like the pace car has indeed shut the lights off on that thing. We're getting ready to go racing once again. Another restart here as we cross the stripe for lap number 19. And you can see Matthew Batby in that 89 car looking pretty sporty up there, still holding on to that P1 position. Riley Hoots, Brandon Six, Jeremy Richmond, and Jeffrey Goodpaster rounding out the top 5. Coming out of turn number 4 once again. We wait a little bit more. Well, we wait a little bit more. Green flag. There we go. Barney in the flag stand drops that green rag, racing once again here at Martinsville.
That'd be getting not as good of a launch as he did last time, but Riley Hoots did get into the wall, but is going to be able to recover and fall back in behind Brendan Six. So real unfortunate that had lost the position. Oh, we got one in the wall hard, and looks like we've got a pile up.
Stacking them up here on lap number 20, and it looks like we have ourselves a little bit of a swap meet there on the front stretch, getting some slightly used virtual race car parts out there for Tag Saleville, but we're going to back that up one more time and see if we can take a look at the W Energy, W Pre-Workouts, instant replay, and multiple cars involved here. We might actually have to take a peek at this one from way back here in the stands as we pull up the instant replay, and here you have it. Lots of cars involved in this one. Look about 10th on back. You can see it looks like the 51 rather loses the back end of the race car, gets a little bit loose, spins out in front of traffic. But take a look at the little 4 wide action there. Everybody, for the most part, getting woed up and slowed up just in time and making sure that they don't slam into anybody else in front of them. So definitely good news there. And we made mention again, it's tough when you get into an early altercation like that on the racetrack, but it does in fact give you a little bit of time to recover because we still have quite a ways to go here, 303 laps to be exact. I can do that little bit of math there, and we can see the 51 of Kelly Thomas going to come down pit road and use some of the virtual hammers to bang out some of that sheet metal.
That's going to be a fast repair needed for Kelly Thomas in the 51. Real unfortunate, but you see the wheel ping back on. Gonna put on some Ford new Goodyear, so real unfortunate to lose it now, especially with such a long race. We aren't even a 10th of the way through, but just means got to be a bit more cautious going forward. But good job to the rest of the drivers not to make it a much worse accident from what it could have been. Having a car turn like that right in front of basically the midfield could have been easily a track blocker, but luckily drivers were able to keep it to a minimum for Martinsville's sake.
Watch that 51 car get quite a few practice laps in here before the night, and that's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Lap 23 took 4 tires on that 51 machine, it looked like. Might have been 2, but that's going to be something that a lot of these drivers, a lot of these virtual crew chiefs are going to study and see if they can kind of pick up on for later on in the night. Just how well does 4 tires, how well does 2 tires work after just 20 laps on the racing surface? And it's going to be one of many different storylines that are going to develop throughout the evening. Could get a little fuel mileage action going on as well. We've had a couple of drivers come down pit road to top off the fuel tanks, the virtual fuel tanks with that Sunoco race fuel. And we've had some drivers that have been out there for the entire time, haven't come down to the attention of their pit crews yet. So lots of different strategies, lots of different plans going on throughout the evening. And one of the things about plans here, Keen, I did it. Nickel in the jar. Kynan, a lot of things that we notice here. You make a plan, a lot of times that plan just kind of falls apart. So what can these drivers expect? You know, it's almost setting it up as a catch-22. How do you work with different plans kind of falling apart, and do you just kind of make things up on the fly? Do you work with your teammate? How do, from a driver's perspective, how would you get that through?
So the best drivers typically are the ones that can be conservative and be fast throughout the entire run, even if that means being adaptive. You've got to be able to think on the spot and be able to get a strategy right first try. You typically won't get a second chance, especially at a track where you drop a couple of positions because you miss your pit box by a car's length and have to reverse. Then you fall back through the field, and just falling back those couple of positions can mean the difference between getting involved in a wreck and finishing on the podium tonight. But coming to the Geico restart zone, Matthew Batby is going to get another good launch. Riley Hoots is going to be able to file into second, or nearly getting into his teammate, going drift up the track. That's allowing the 66 of Brendan Six to be able to pull up the inside and get past going into turn 3.
Beating and banging, sliding all the way around this racetrack. You can see drivers trying to get single file throughout the field. Looks like we are about that for the top 5. Little side-by-side action back here for that 5th position. You can see the 33 and the 10 trying to swap just a little bit of paint, trade a little paint, if you will, and the 33 down on the bottom side has the advantage. You can see going to pull up to the 10. Oh, almost a little bit of contact between the two. 10 has to back up just a little bit. Good call for call. Going to slide back into 6th, though.
Sometimes it's best just to file back in, just to save your fast repair and save your car for the end of the race. It's very tempting to be able to go for a position now. Well, all races are hard. We want to make up the positions, but sometimes you just gotta file in. I've won races just by just tuning it back a couple notches, saving my equipment, and then being there where it matters.
Taking a look a little bit further on back, you can see just inside the top 10, Brandon Fetterplace, the number 20 Bang Camry, holding on to that 10 spot. Has a little side-by-side action going on in front of him. Isaac Emerson in the 92,
Ooh.
Jeffrey Goodpaster holding on to it for now, it looks like.
Oh, nope,
except for these guys back here. Yeah, stacking them up. You can see handful of drivers involved. Well, actually, that looks more like 2 handfuls of drivers involved in this one. 4th caution flag flies here on lap number 30.
I thought when I had originally seen, I believe it was the 92 of Isaac Emerson. Yes, it was. Just looking at my little timings. Just got loose, and then it just got much worse. Thought it had kept it out of the way, but something seems to have broken in the car.
We made mention there's almost looks
to get
like
loose and then the contact.
Yeah, a little bit loose. He got on that brake pedal and just kind of hooked it to the left, and that's a tough place to be. You can see a couple of drivers getting involved, a little aftermath up there, heading on a little bit further on into the corner there. So that's a tough break for those drivers, and some of them going to be able to come down pit road, use that quick repair. A couple of drivers looking like they're going to have to use a tow and get towed back to pit road. But man, oh man, a couple of guys down in that garage area already, trying to bang that virtual sheet metal out.
Some drivers, if they didn't get too much damage, might just be opting to just try repair it over multiple laps. But to Isaac Emerson's little credit, I have watched his right front suspension, and he was locked up. He was not trying to drift up into the track, but when you have broken a wheel like that, the car has suddenly just lost a lot of its ability to stop, and he's tried to get it loaded up before pulling up into the traffic, but with the car being damaged, it just had nowhere to go, and then the drivers behind had nowhere to go either, and he had to take the tow with that rear tow link being snapped off.
Taking a look here as we get the field crowded back up behind the pace car. Got a little bit of time to take a look at the top 10. We've seen that 89 car up there. Matthew doing a great job holding on to that position, up 1 spot from where he qualified right there on the outside pole. Riley Hoots in the 24 car holding on to 2nd. Brandon 6, Jeremy Richmond, and Michael Call in the top 5. Nick Alford, Christopher Miller, Jeffrey Goodpaster, and Brandon Fetterplace, as well as, I'm going to need you to help me out with the 78's name. I really don't want to butcher it. I can't even butcher the word butcher. Holy moly. Julio
Villalobos.
Julio Villalobos Jr. That's a fun name to say. But he's rounding out the top 10.
At least that's how I believe it's pronounced. I'm sorry, I know I've been with you for a while now, Julio, but Australian accent, it's a bit hard to...
Mine too.
Sometimes hard. Well, I don't think you've quite got the Australian accent that I have.
Not quite. We'll see how the rest of the night goes here. Lots of time to work together, and we'll see just how Australian we can make me. But there you can see the lights off on the iRacing pace car, getting them lined up 2 by 2. Couple of drivers coming down pit road to top off the fuel tanks, maybe get some tires on the cars, but I think a lot of drivers starting to go big picture racing here, and they're going to see if they can maybe get themselves just a little bit of an advantage. If they're going to be in the back of the pack anyway, it may as well come down and top off. But Matthew Patby, Brandon 6, up front all night long so far, 89 versus 66. They are lined up side by side once again. That pace car down on the safety of pit road. Pack stands here, and there we go. Green flag flying once again. Great start for the 89 of Batby. Brandon 6 now side by side with Hoots. Riley Hoots in the 24 car, making the magic happen down there on that bottom side of the racetrack.
Was able to, Jeremy Richmond around. And Hoots around.
Hoots around a little bit further on. It almost looked like he had saved it. And a couple of drivers still falling in here into place. We made mention that smoke really makes it tough here at the short tracks. And Martinsville, no stranger to smoke, as we'll take a look at the replay. See if we can take a look. This almost happened right here live on our screens, kind of right in front of our faces. But we're going to take a look at the W blimp, see if we can take a peek and find out just what it was that happened. It looks like we may have had just a little bit of contact between the 10 and the 89. I checked out the 98. The 98 gets into the corner, kind of comes down a little bit, and you can see that the back end of that race car gets a little bit loose, and the same thing happens to the 24 car. Got clear of all these drivers, tried to drive down into the corner, and loses the back end of the race car, gets spun on around, and you can make mention a couple of times here, as we've seen before, couple of light bumps, light taps, not really going to affect the aero too much on these race cars, but still enough to really kind of slow down the momentum and really get into the back of the head of some of these drivers.
Any form of momentum loss is momentum loss. Momentum loss equals time loss, and that little bit of a checkup can mean that you're backed up into someone else that can make slight contact. Looks like, just looking a bit closer at the replay myself, it just looked like Jeremy Richmond was loose and had came down just from the car, having the rear end starting to exceed the front end grip, and just meant that his was starting to come down without really being planned, and just real unfortunate that Michael Call was there and had made contact, but Riley Hoots had drifted up and almost tried to put a bit more wheel in, and then that's why he ended up getting loose and going around himself. But on the YouTube chat, room for boom, Julio with a H.
Julio with a H. Julio. We'll get it right by the end of the night. We'll try it.
I'm sure it's going to be a long night. Still over 285 laps left in this race.
And we're going to be with you for every single one of those races. The one race, all of the laps in that race. And you can see the 89 car kind of pulling upside the pace car, giving him a little bit of a wave. There's no actual driver inside that pace car. Hate to step through the fourth wall, but it's up there giving him just a little bit of a bump, a little bit of a side rub. Wants to get racing, wants to get out on this racetrack in green conditions and really see if he can pull away in that 89 car. We've seen he's been great on these restarts so far in the Napa Auto Parts machine, and it's going to be tough to see if we can get one of those long green flag runs. Is he going to be able to pull away from the 66 or the 20? You could see the 95 of Alford up in the mix as well, the 12 of Miller, Ballard, and the 32 Goodpaster moving up a couple of spots, the 78, the 1, and the 97, and lining them up 2 by 2 again, getting ready to go racing again.
Quick update in the chat, Phoenix Madden, there is currently a trading paints issue. That's why some of the schemes aren't working or are not the correct one, so bit of a technical issue. We all have them, but Matthew Batby off to a very strong launch, going to allow the 66 to file in. Nick Alford in the third place in the fourth position, and then it's all hell in the back.
And that's where the action happens, and you can see these drivers definitely want to get some racing in, and they are doing so in a big way, bumping and banging and beating on each other, and you can see a little bit single wide action, but there's a hornet's nest back here for about, we'll call it maybe 8th on back to about 14th.
Yeah, you can call it a hornet's nest. I like to call it a piranha pit. You would not want to be dipping your toes in there. It's going to be very dangerous, and all it takes is one little drop of blood, and suddenly they'll be all over you. But Green Tin Gaming, this looks super unfun to drive. Yes, you can say that, but also with the sort of racing that we've seen in the High Octane Sim series, can also be fun out there. So Martinsville is not an easy track, especially when you're have the number 1 of Mafia around, but able to stay green. But as I was saying, you're able to get into a good groove, you can get some very good racing going.
And that is a tough, tough break for the one car of Brendan Matthew. Getting spun around like that, up in the top 5, top 10, fighting into the top 5 from the top 10. Green flag stays out. We do not go to caution. Etz ends up gathering it back up, getting pointed right back in the right direction, but now all the way back in that 6th position. Riley Hoots now around and into the inside safer barrier. Still green flag. Does a little bit of a bounce with that left side of the car. Caves the nose in. You can see very much off the pace. Back now in that 16th position. Even slides back in behind the one car. So Riley Hoots not having the run that he wants here. But up front, a fella that's still holding on to it, that 89 car of Matthew Batby.
I was just looking a bit closer at Riley Hoots, and there's a lot of sparks going on from Brendan Mafia. So I'm just going to be having a look, trying to see. There's something dragging on the car, but I can't exactly find what. But we're back under caution.
Caution flag flies as you ride on board in that number 18 car of Reef Hatlin, and trying to get back up through the gears, but found himself pointed in the wrong direction. We'll take a look at that W.GG instant replay and find out exactly what brought out that yellow rag and the glory of the old instant replay button, as we can kind of back it up and get the story of the tape, the tail of the tapes, as it were. It looks like he may have just lost once again the back end of that race car. Take a peek. There you see him, the number 18 car. Gets into the corner okay, out okay, not okay. You can see again, loses the back end, loose. As these drivers start to burn off a little bit of fuel here, the longer we get into the run, I wonder, and this may be something of the past, I'm not too super familiar yet with these new next generation cars, but as the fuel burns off, does that not lighten the back of the car up?
It lightens up the car on really anything that has the fuel tank on the rear. So with these next gens, especially, we've seen it at Daytona, they break loose on corner exits. So, and with the new diffuser and the tire profile, it can just be a case of drivers not being too knowing that it's going to snap sideways, and that could be a reason why we're still seeing drivers break sideways like that. And with the steering pinion, with the old gen car, you would be able to catch a slide that suddenly happens, but with these, you try to catch a slide and suddenly you're pointing up into the wall. So you've got to be very careful when catching a slide in these things. Yeah, it's very tempting to be able to, or if you know you can potentially save them, but it's walking a knife edge. It's possible, but it's not exactly the easiest thing to do.
18 car losing a lap, maybe losing a second lap here on pit road as he gets the virtual pit crew out there to work on the sheet metal of that car, working lap number 51 here of the 6th caution here tonight. You're watching 10-4 Broadcasting's coverage of the High Octane Sim Series. This is going to be race number 8 here at Martinsville. 2 races to go before the playoffs. Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth for the very first time. Very long time here tonight, but lots of action out here on track with my new Australian friend, Kynan Jones. And Kynan, this has been fun so far. We got a little bit of action, a little bit of bumper cars going on, and looks like we might have a little bit more bumper cars going on. 18, trying to hold on to it.
Yeah, he just lost it on his own. Right as you're saying how we've had action tonight, and he just loses it on corner exit. So maybe just wanting to try something to warm the tires up and get a bit of an advantage on the restart. We'll just call it that.
Yeah. Warm tires are best tires in the virtual world and the real world. And I mean, really, the real world, you want to get any tire that you could possibly get with the tire shortage that's going on. It's tough to see. You hate to see it at the real racetrack, but it also brings to mind that, it's Jump On iRacing. Tires are free here in the virtual world, and it's always fun to get out here. If you want to check this out and you're new to the sim racing community, iRacing.com, always all sorts of membership deals for new members to jump on board and finish up your English homework, get home from work, jump on the old Computadora and get some NASCAR in, some dirt racing, all sorts of different aspects of racing here. And we're going back racing as that pace car goes down to get himself another couple of hot dogs, maybe a nice cold Coke. And 89 car gets a fantastic shot, shooting that bat signal out into the lead. Batby pulls away by about 2 or 3 car lengths as they go down the backstretch.
Battle for the third position. Third place was able to, or he wasn't able to fully clear the 95 of Nick Alford. Two drivers that have gone winless this season, but have been very competitive nearly every single round. So both are going to be very hungry for a win tonight, and currently battling for the third position. Still side by side, but back under yellow.
42 car pointed in the wrong direction. You can see gathers it back up and gets that thing rolling once again, bringing out the 7th caution here on lap number 56, and we'll back it up one more time. Take a peek at the replay and see what brought out that yellow rag and the miracles of technology. We'll get this backed up, and it looks like a little bit more of the same, losing the back end of that race car. Looking at it backwards in quick motion, didn't look like there was any contact. You can see just gets out of shape here, gets up high in that corner entry and just not able to hold on to it between the two different types of pavement there, and does an awesome job holding on to the brakes, lets the entire field get through, no harm, no foul there, and it looks like it was just kind of a soft tap on the back bumper there into that outside safer barrier. So living to race another night, living to race another lap, but gonna have to restart under this caution, or after this caution rather, in the back of the pack. So that's going to be a little bit of work to get put on through here tonight as the 42 car comes down pit road.
I was just having a bit of a closer look. It was right as he put his right rear over onto the dotted line, and maybe there's a bit of marbles up there, which basically what marbles are is just little bits of discarded rubber from the tires thrown up to the outside of the track. You get on them and it can either make the car go straight, become very tight, or if you accelerate on them, it can also do the opposite effect and act like dust. Especially with these tires, they more so throw out dust more than little bits of rubber, so could be just a Bledsoe getting a bit too high up into the dirty part of the track where there's just no grip, and it just started to rotate on him.
And some of the folks out there may be saying, hey, this is a video game. What are you talking about, marbles on the racetrack? Just like real racing, it happens here in iRacing. iRacing does a fantastic job really simulating the experience. You get essentially rubber buildup. Rubber kind of peels off the tires as these drivers work that rubber into the racetrack, and it definitely affects the handling of each and every single driver out there on the racetrack all the way around, top, bottom, middle, sometimes down in the grass, pit road. Every once in a while, you'll get some rubber up in the fence.
You can see that darker bit of concrete in the corners where the drivers have been really running, and you can see the rubber building up. It's very pronounced on dirt oval, which not everyone does, but you'll see the part of the tracks where everyone is running, it will become lighter for a moment on a new track, but then once the rubber starts laying down, it'll go dark and it'll go slick. But on a track like this, it will be able to have nice grip, and that's where you want to be. You get out of that groove, and suddenly you're in a world of danger, so you got to be careful. Yes, Stella, 7 caution already. It's Martinsville. It's not an easy track, especially with this much competition tonight.
And not to mention, racing the next generation car just came out very recently here in the iRacing world. Some drivers able to get it, gather it back up, and really get ahead with it. Some drivers, like me, anytime something new came out, it took me a long time to relearn how I drove, and not anything different with these drivers here. Some drivers a little bit newer to the new generation car, and some of them just pick it up like it's riding a bike. But there goes the pace car. I don't know how many hot dogs he's got down there on pit road, but he's going to grab a couple more of them. Here comes the 89. He's down low. Bat me down low. 6 up on the high side. Alford, Fetter Face and Call, the top 5. Green flag flies, and how about that? Another restart for that 89 car. On rails, it seems like, under that green flag.
There was a big checkup on the high line, which has then caused a bit of carnage going into the turn. Good Pastor had drifted up, which then spooked Brian Messer up into out of the racing groove, but so far they were able to all keep it relatively clean. Riley Hoots back in the 11th position, battling. That's managed to keep it out of the wall, but then loses it on exit.
And you can see a couple of hard hits back here for caution flag number 8 here on lap number 62. Check that, and the 51 grabbing a gear, getting spun back around, and getting the car resituated here. You can see that 24 car still holding on to it. Looks like he's going to try and call for a a wrecker, so that's going to be a tough break for that 24 car. Going to take a peek at the 10-4 Broadcasting instant replay, and we saw it happen kind of sort of out of the left of our eye here. The 24 car getting just a little bit out of shape, and you can see as you follow along up in the top high side, gets on the binders, gets that car kind of woed up, really gets out of shape, tries to hold on to it up, but he gets into those marbles. You made mention of them earlier, Kynan. Gets into the marbles, boom, there's a T-bone for your appetite for the 51 car. That's where the damage came in the nose of the 51. You can see he gets around. Oh, he actually broke the right front wheel on that thing. And you can see the 24 car still kind of running, but it looks like he may very well be done for the evening. It looks like Riley Hoots out for the night.
You can see as soon as Kelly Thomas made that contact, it instantly had sheared off the rear left tire, and that just left it immobile. But Kelly Thomas, having used that fast repair earlier, is now going to have to sift through minutes of just taking manual repairs. It's not a nice feeling when you take that fast repair early on and then you're suddenly stuck with a very broken car, and then you've got to wait and wait and wait, and it feels like an eternity. So Kelly Thomas might just decide to take it out and go back to the pits and maybe just go chow down on some hot dogs to help brighten the mood, but hopefully not. Hopefully they get it all repaired and we see them back out here later tonight.
You can see a couple of drivers coming down on pit road to get a little bit of Sunoco race fuel, some of those Goodyear tires on the machine, and you can see the 51 car already one lap down as the field went by under caution. And up towards the front, though, that 89, the 66, very, very strong 1 and 2. And we've made mention a couple of times here, can these guys hold on to it for a long green flag run? A little bit of a war of attrition early on here, but that's how these sim racing deals go here on the short tracks. That's how the real racing goes here on short tracks. You usually get a handful of cautions up towards the front, and then you get towards that middle part of the race where drivers really want to get into that green flag momentum and that methodic lap after lap kind of exercises, and they really want to start racing the track and seeing just how far they can pull themselves up in front of this field. And well, then you get towards the end of the race and everybody wants to be up front, so we start beating and banging again. It's just kind of how the racing works. But that is why we're all short track racing fans. You can see the in and out car having a little bit of trouble. Looks like he's stuck in that inside safer wall.
Yeah, I'm have a closer look and see why Bojanic in the number 8 has pulled up. So maybe a bit of technical issues going on. Just trying to figure out what went on with the 8. Just lost it on exit, trying to catch back up to the pace car, and just gave it too much beans. It went around and then just parked it up.
It's always tough when you give it too much beans, but here we go. More beans here on a lap number 68 as we get ready to cross the line here. There goes pace car down on the safety of pit road one more time. The story of the night, 89 versus 66. Green flag flies. The 89 jumps up to that high side early. Single file 1-2, side by side through the rest of the field.
So far, the drivers are able to keep it clean, going through 1 and 2, going into 3 and 4. Everything's all calm, but this is where all good passes are up into the wall, able to keep it straight though. Gonna check him up massively, and he's gonna lose a position down to Julio Villalobos. I hope I said that correctly. So far, the drivers are still able to keep it straight. Bit of side-by-side action back in 11th position between Bledsoe and Mafia. Mafia won on their season debut at Homestead, but Bledsoe around.
42 car pointed in the wrong direction, as is the 3. The 3 kind of looks like he may have overreacted. Not overreacted, but reacted just enough to get that thing pointed in the wrong direction. And a couple of light tappity taps there coming out of turn number 4. We're going to take a peek at the 10-4 Broadcasting instant replay, and we're actually going to take a look from the onboard here of the 3 car, because we can do things like that here with the technology. We can do the technology, and here you see up towards the front, you can see the car in front of him gets out of shape just a little bit, the 42, and you can see might have had a little bit of help. Heard some banging and clanging there from the back corner of the 3 car, and you can see tapping that grill into the inside Geico logo there, but grabs a gear, gets it pointed in the right direction, and going to come through back towards the end of the field. Looks like he's going to end up lining up here in 15th after all said and done.
From my perspective, it looked like He went to go low, got over the curb, which then has just unsettled the rear. He's tried to accelerate whilst the rear is unsettled, and that's what's thrown him around. No contact, and I'm just looking at a separate angle on my own screen, and yeah, that's exactly what's happened. Real unfortunate, but didn't pick up too much damage, and we'll be able to continue on perfectly fine.
Speaking of continuing on, biggest mover of the night so far, going to be this 32 driver of Robert Ballard Jr., up 14 spots from where he qualified, currently running in the 7th position, easy enough for me to say. Having a great run, a little bit of damage kind of all the way around that race car, but go ahead and find me a clean race car on this racetrack currently. You can see the one car, Brendan Mathia, saw him a little bit banged up earlier on, pointing in the wrong direction, but he's having a good recovery so far, running just outside the top 10 in the 11th spot. He's gained 11 spots from where he qualified earlier on in the night, and Jeremy Richmond, not going to call him a big loser, but lost the most positions here so far this evening. He's down 10 spots running in the 16th. You can see a little bit of damage going around maybe the back of the race car, but all in all, still looks like all the quarter panels are on that thing, and he's going to see what he can do here as we get closer and closer to the one-third marker in this race.
Race control has decided to give Alan Bledsoe a black flag, which just means that they've decided to park him. He's not going to be racing anymore tonight. Real unfortunate, but this next-gen car, we've seen it in real life. It's not an easy car to drive, so real unfortunate, but going into next week, I'm going to need to quickly have a look at the schedule, but hopefully Bledsoe can turn it around and be able to get back up into the podium for Kansas.
173 laps on the docket next week at Kansas. Go to Richmond at night for 260 laps under the lights there, and then it's playoff time. How about this playoff lineup? Talladega, Sonoma, Kentucky, Dover, and Phoenix. That is going to be a dogfight going for this championship here with the High Octane Sim Series. And speaking of High Octane, getting ready to do it again here on lap number 75. The lights are off in the iRacing pace car. We're lined up front, top two, as it's been for the most of the night so far. The 89 car of Batby down on the bottom side, and the 66 of Brandon 6 up on that high side. And if the stories from the night have told us anything, it's going to tell us that 89 car is going to get himself a good restart.
Well, that's going to be the plan, but we've seen drivers make errors in the past. Batby has made errors whilst leading. Hopefully, he's able to get a good restart going into the Geico restart zone. It's another flawless restart, able to jump clear ahead of the 66 going into turn 1.
And that is a big thing. That is your first move. You want to get your car clear and then focus on what's out in front of the windshield, the rest of the racetrack. But you can see the 66 car doing a phenomenal job, getting right up to the back bumper, almost trying to outdrive as he powers off. You can see shooting up for that outside wall, but holds on to it. He's going to stick right in the tire tracks right now of Batby in that 89 car, but definitely not letting him get away. The 66 all over the back bumper.
The 66 has been giving Batby a real headache throughout this entire race, but we aren't even half of the way through, so still plenty of racing left to go here at the Paperclip of America.
Little gyro cam from inside the second place car of Brandon 6, the 66 Camry, looking for that leader. You can see really shifts down and kind of coasting that car in there, and that's one of the things I haven't picked up on so far here in the first 79 laps of this race. These drivers are shifting. Some of the drivers, anyway, are shifting each and every one of these laps, a couple times a lap. That's going to be interesting to kind of follow along here. Do we have any misshifts? Do we have any transmission failures here with this next generation car in iRacing? It adds a whole nother playing field to the game.
With these new next gen and how they have a new gearbox, they have decided to leave the H-pad and go to a sequential gearbox, which just means they're able to get through the gears quicker. For Martinsville, we've dropped the 5th gear, so 4th gear, but some drivers, interestingly enough, are using that 3rd gear. Something I didn't actually think would happen, but just going to be helping you get slowed down and getting the front end to rotate, which means that some drivers will be having some issues with the car being tight. So real interesting on that on board to see that at least the 66 is actually shifting in the corners.
Single file for the front 8 cars. A little bit of a dogfight, a piranha fight here for 8th on back. Oh, no longer a dogfight. A little bit of bumper car action. Going to bring out a caution flag. Indeed it does. the 32 car, Robert Ballard, we made mention, having a great run, moving his way on up through the field and unfortunately finding himself pointed in the wrong direction. And we've heard that line a couple of times here throughout the evening. But we're going to take a look once again here at the 10-4 Broadcasting Instant Replay. And this is going to be one of those ones, going to want to take a look at it from the blimp, I think. And we'll take a peek at it here. You can see, focus in on that number 32 car. Gets out of shape, up into that high groove, gets up into those marbles. We talked about it before. Tried to get on the throttle, a little bit on the heavy side, a little bit too hot, a little bit too heavy, a little bit too many beans there on the 32 car. Spins them on around, gets a good piece of the 24 car of Hoots. Unfortunately, more damage for the 24 crew to work on, and you can see the 32 already losing a lap there as the drivers came around to take that caution. So going to be an uphill battle here. And speaking of battles, going to be an interesting battle here on pit road because it looks like everybody's come down.
I'd say this is going to be the stage caution. They less than a lap prior had closed pit lane, so the stage caution is going to be most likely counted as now, with it being in such a close period of time from when it was scheduled to be. April, first car disqualified, 3 cautions, curse. I can't touch the throttle. Yeah, real unfortunate. We've seen multiple cars now get very loose on corner exit now, so it's real unfortunate to see it. The 8 has also decided to take it in and will be taking it to pit road and be retiring.
Taking a look at some of the lap times here, some of the stints, how long these drivers have been on pit road. And you can see Cunningham in the 9 car. He came down a handful of laps ago, stayed out under this caution. Everybody else there, it looks like in the top 8 came down for at least 2 tires, potentially 4 tires here for this stage caution. And going to be a little bit of a mix-up now up towards the front. The 9 car going to hold on to the lead, but for how long? Brandon 6, Matthew Batby, 2nd and 3rd in behind him. The 95 and the 10 of Nick Alford, Michael Cole right behind him to round out the top 5. Christopher Miller, Jeffrey Goodpaster, Brian Messer, Jeremy Richmond, and Julio Villabuc. I'm going to talk to Julio before the end of the night, I promise you, and I'm going to make sure I get his name right before we end this show. But the 78 car holding on to that top 10, 4 spots gained from where he qualified, and definitely showing us how it's done back in the 10th position. And everybody getting gathered back up behind the pace car. We're going to have ourselves a new leader for the first time since, I think, the beginning of this race with that 9 car, and he's going to be on older tires.
The 99 in front of the 9 car is a lap down, so Reed Aeneas will be just waved around as we see right now. Pace lights are out on the pace car, so that's allowing the 99 to go back around. Got to be careful not to burn up your tires and just not spin out, so just watching him, he's taking it nice and easy and should be able to get caught up, and then we'll have another car on the lead lap. That should be 17.
17 cars on the lead lap from the 23 that started. A couple of drivers parked down in the garage area, some for mechanical issues, some for that old black flag that we see every now and again. But going to be interesting up front. The 9 going to take over the point. The 66 still on the outside. That 89 car going to restart from that 3rd position. Green flag flies once again. Cunningham holds on to it, but he drifts up the track just a little bit, opens the door down on the bottom side. Here comes the 66. Here comes the 89. Cunningham drops on back to 3rd.
Makes me wonder if maybe the 66 has done some sort of deal with the 9 to just let him buy for maybe a couple hot dogs since we're here at Martinsville. Maybe he'll pay it off after the race, but the 89 looking to the inside of the 66 is going to draw up alongside. Not a lot of space between them going into turn 3 and 4. The 89 keeping it down low is able to then find a lot more grip than I would have expected, but is going to easily clear the 66 going into turn 1.
But the 66 still right there on the bumper. We ride on board with that 2nd place car. Seems to be the story all night long. Brandon 6 doing everything he can to try and get not only to the back bumper of Batby in that 89 car, but wants to get beside him, wants to get around him, wants to lead this race. Having a little bit of trouble right now, but right now doing his homework as the caution flag comes out. 12 car, Christopher Miller looks like he maybe pointed in the wrong direction briefly. That's going to bring out caution flag number 11 here for lap number 91, and we're going to take a peek here at the instant replay once again to see why that flag has flown. And it looks like the 12 car coming out of the corner, light in the back end of the race car. That's going to be, we might have to make ourselves a t-shirt for the evening. Light in the back end or something along those lines. You can see the story of the night. There's the caution flag waving, Barney in the flag stand, giving it his all. That right forearm's got to be tired by now with the amount of caution flags we've had here tonight and restarts. But there you can see the 12 car gathers it back up. Doesn't look like there's too much crazy damage on that thing. You can see a little bit of a kink there on the right rear quarter panel, but I think the virtual racing pit crew is going to be able to get that thing taken care of for sure. Just going to be one of those tough things here. Restarting in the back, trying to rebuild that track position.
So I just went and had a look at his onboard. There's nothing that would really suggest that it would snap unincredibly sideways. So real strange incident, and we're seeing it from multiple drivers now. So maybe it's something to do with the diffuser or the tire profiles, but they're really not liking being on that outside lane.
And we've seen that time and time again here at Martinsville, races before, races after, and races on both networks that we've worked with here this evening. And it's really tough to do up on that high side here at Martinsville, really on any short track. But there's some drivers that are able to really make it work. But with these cars and the way the back end kind of works, and as light as they are in the back end, we've seen these drivers kind of struggle with the handling a bit throughout the evening, whether it's in qualifying, practice, or even under green flag conditions. And you can see back up towards the front, two of the drivers that are really holding on to this car, really making the car work for them. The 89 of Batby up where he's comfortable in the lead. Brandon 6 sliding on into the second position.
Matthew Batby has been very dominant, but has only been able to break into victory lane once this season. No driver this entire season has won 2 races, so it's very competitive. We haven't been able to see a 2-time winner, so maybe Matthew Batby will be that first 2-time winner here tonight. With this pace, I'd say so, but still have over 200 laps to go of this race, so it's going to be very chaotic, especially as we claw towards the end where desperation will start to creep in.
And that's an interesting tidbit of information to throw out there to the fans watching at home, wherever you may be watching live and interactive on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, all over the heckin' place. And you made mention, no repeat winners here. Christopher Darling, Martin Plouffe, Riley Hoots, Jeremy Richmond, Jacob Fifield, Brandon Mathia, and Matthew Batby, all winners so far here in this season. No repeat winners, so that's going to be interesting to see. The 89 car looking strong. Can he come back? Can he come home with a Martinsville virtual father clock? They do that, right? They get a big little virtual, maybe a picture of a clock. Would that be cool?
Maybe they'll just send a hot dog or a picture of a hot dog in their DMs.
Oh, nobody said I'd get a hot dog. I should have joined the race. But in any sense, we're getting ready to go green flag racing. Once again, lap number 96. And we're going to cross the stripe to take lap number 97. There is the green flag once again, and there is that phenomenal restart we've seen all night long. Batby shooting off like a rocket ship.
Oh, no.
That's always fun. Oh, no!
Yep, it's gotten worse.
Big bada boom. Caution flag flies on lap number 97, and looks like we may or may not have ourselves another swap meet there on the front straightaway. Gonna have to back that up. There was a lot of drivers involved in that one, it looked like.
Yeah, it looked for a moment they may have gotten it all sorted out, but then next minute it gets worse, and it only continued to get worse.
Indeed, the story of my life. We thought we did it okay, but, well, then we didn't. Taking a peek at the instant replay. It might have been a little bit of contact. We're going to have to back that up once again. We'll take a look from the blimp here, and there you can see we get in the 98 a little bit on the hot side, gets into the back quarter panel, and you can see the 33 gets collected as well. Almost had it saved. There's a piece of the action for the 1 car. 3 gets a little scrape action. 18 does a phenomenal job getting on the binders, getting that car woed up before damaging the front of that race car. But again, we see it. A couple of drivers going for the same piece of real estate, trying to get all that they can, try and get up towards the front of the racing action, towards the front of the pack, and You can see the 33 car now struggling to get that car down on pit road. The alignment definitely seems to be off on that 33 car. He's going to come down to the attention of the virtual pit crew and see if they can maybe get that thing fixed.
The 98 was very aggressive, trying to maybe bump his teammate, but gave it a little bit of a bump in a bit of an awkward spot, and then that's turned Nick Alford. But then Goodpasta had kind of stranded him out, but then maybe a little bit of iRacing connection, which then has then hooked them together, which has then pulled them up into the wall. So it's a very messy situation.
100%. And good news for the 33 camp. Still had that quick repair. You saw the nose get fixed just like that. Only one of those, though, throughout the race. So using it early here in the first third of the race, gonna have to be cautious throughout the rest of it. But the 33 gets all the damage fixed and a little bit of a spit shine for those chrome wheels. Those chrome wheels are worth 5 horsepower apiece.
Or maybe 6 horsepower, I would say, each.
5 or 6 horsepower. We'll see how it turns out. But the 33 car back in this one, gonna restart from looks like the 14th position. Taking a quick peek at live timing and scoring here. 16 cars on the lead lap, handful of cars down on the pit road getting some repairs. A couple of drivers in the garage area as well, and you can see the iRacing lights still on here. So a little bit of time, lap number 102 in the books. A little bit of a caution peppered race here, but we made mentioning sometimes you got to go through a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of a war of attrition here at these short track races in both real life and the iRacing world. And we get to that middle, kind of the meat and potatoes, if you say, of the race, and then you get a little bit more action towards the end of it. But action-packed, high energy all night long. The iRacing lights are off. He's going to go down there on pit road, and we're going to go green flag racing once again. Take a peek, Batby, the 89 car down on the bottom, 66 of Brandon 6. Up on the high side, Call, Fetter Place, and our buddy Julio in the top 5. Green flag flies once again. May as well start calling this guy Elon Musk. He's blasting off like a rocket ship in that 89.
Yeah, being the leader, you get to depict when you go in that restart zone, and Batby is able to take full advantage of it. Doesn't have his teammates around him to really give him any backup, but with the JKR Motorsports drivers being in the back from having the incident just before, it's meant that he's really got a bit of less competition compared to what he's used to. But so being able to take full advantage of that, and he's going to keep pulling away. But Michael Call in the number 10, currently P3, and trying to chase down the 66 and the 89.
A little bit of a 3-car breakaway, almost a 4-car breakaway, as Fetter Place wants to get a little piece of the action as well, get a little bit more bang for his buck in the bag number 20 Camry, holding on to the 4th spot. You can see a little bit further on back, there's the 78 car of Julio with Brian Messer right in his tire tracks. Christopher Schaefer, haven't talked about him all night long. That 23 car moving on up, biggest mover of the night so far, as he's up 13 spots from where he qualified. Jeremy Richmond, easy enough for me to say, right in behind him. Ian Jancrack and Christopher Miller currently rounding out the top 10. You can see right in behind those guys, the 33 car caution flag flies, though, as we take the 13th caution here on lap 107.
Just a little bit of same old, just same story, but different driver this time.
And we've seen that happen. It's one of those things, it's tough for, we'll call it an entertainment value here at Richmond and some of these short tracks, but man, oh man, it's always good to see that we only have 1 or 2 cars involved in an incident. And here you can see, oh, we had a car shoot down low, lose the inside of the car. It looks like the 1 car tried to slow up a little bit, got a bit of a nasty bump there, kind of set the corner up a little on the wonky side. Big contact, though, with that outside safer barrier. You can see really caves in front of that nose, and some sparks flying from underneath the Mattias machine. So that's going to be a tough break for the 1 car. We'll see. I believe he's already used that quick repair earlier on in the race. So that's going to be tough. We might have to see if he can make it back out on the racetrack. And, well, he might have made me a liar. Looks like he's already back out there.
One thing to take note from that incident, you could see Mafia trying to counter steer and save it from going around, feeling that it was loose, but then because of the rack pinion steering, it's just sent him up into the wall. That's what I was talking about earlier, where you can try save it, but if you get it wrong, it's very easy for it to snap and suddenly you're facing the other way.
And that's one of the cool things here with iRacing is they mimic everything that the real cars do, the real NASCAR new generation cars, and it's a very big unknown, very different style of race car that we're used to. I like the late models, and it's very different from the Cup cars to the late models to the Xfinity cars to the trucks, and now we've got the new Cup Series car, the Camrys, the Mustangs, and the Camaros, and they look awesome. And it's a new generation, kind of a new style, a new era, if you will, in stock car racing. And that is absolutely the exact same here in the iRacing world. Everything laser scanned and feels just right. And it's one of those things you really need to check out. iRacing.com. New members always have all sorts of new benefits and lots of discount promo codes out there. Check out the iRacing message boards, the iRacing Facebook page, and iRacing.com. Let them know 10-4 Broadcasting sent you, and maybe they'll buy some hot dogs. What do you say?
Oh, I haven't had a hot dog in a while, so it would be nice to have that, especially for later on when I'm going to be doing a 24 hours of Le Mans race. So going to be very busy for me for the next 48 hours, but couldn't miss the High Octane Sim Series today.
100%. That's going to be, we're going to have to come back to that, put a dog ear in that, and revisit that, see if we can get a little bit more racing action out there to entertain the masses, as we like to do. And getting ready to do that once again. Lap number 111 here, caution flag number 13, restart number 14. Lights are off the iRacing pace car. There you see it, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, all the way through. iRacing pace car makes that hard left-hand turn down to the safety of pit road. The story of the evening, 66 up high, 89 down low. That being 6, side by side, restart once again. There's the green flag. And again, Elon Musk takes off like a shot. The 89 car to the point, little bit loose in the back end, but he holds on to it as we take a look at the gyro cam sitting shotgun with him, and he's going to hold on to that point with the 66 car right on his back bumper.
Something we haven't seen too much yet from the leaders is with this shifting, it's going to mean that you're getting more RPMs out of the car, which is going to be burning more fuel, but also on exit, it's going to be a lot more squirrely. You got to be very careful when applying the throttle a little bit too much, and suddenly you're up into the wall. So it's a risk, but there's obviously pace. All we have it one around.
10 car gives up a top 5 position to see if he can get into victory lane just a little bit early, but unfortunately pointed in the wrong direction is Michael Call. Doesn't look like he got any damage from that, but man, oh man, did he lose a whole bunch of track position, as it looks like the entire field was able to get by. We're going to take a look once again here at the instant replay, see if we can find out what it was that happened to the 10 car. We'll take a peek at it here. Nope, just kidding. Technology, it's great when it works. We'll back that up once again, and we'll hit the right button this time, because that's how we do it here in live TV, is we do things right the first time, because there is no replays in live TV. Here we go. We'll take a peek at it, focus in on that number 10 car, and you can see the 20 bang car shoots on in there. A little bit of a, I wouldn't call that a bang. I'd call that a little bit of a tap. But a phenomenal job from the number 10 car of Michael Call, getting on the brakes, working that steering wheel, not hitting anything. But we made mention here, kind of, that's a lot of track position he's going to have to make up.
One thing to take in note, I was very curious as I was talking about getting loose just from putting it into third. When he started going around, he actually went down to second, so maybe he was starting to get loose and he was just starting to put it down just so he can get a better restart, or maybe it was the fact that he was getting tight because he had overdriven turn 1 or turn 3, and then he's tried cutting down, put it down into second gear, which has rotated the front of the nose, but then he has clipped the curb, and then with further place behind, I don't believe there was any contact actually involved, but just riding over the curb and then picking up the throttle too soon, and that's what's rotated the car.
And that's going to have to be something that we take a look on throughout the evening here, is the curb is not forgiving. You're going to be able to get a piece of that all night long. And you made mention shifting. That's a new concept to me here on ovals overall, especially here on short tracks. A lot of these drivers slipping on back to fourth. Some drivers slipping all the way down to third gear. And it does a lot of different things with the fuel, the way it burns, how quickly it burns, how much of it burns. But it also affects the handling as well. If you get into a corner, you drop 2 gears into third, it's really going to loosen that back end of the race car up. And I think that might be what's going on here with some of these drivers tonight.
Yeah, you hear the term engine braking a lot, especially in road course racing, which I'm very familiar with. So what engine braking is, it's when you use the gearbox to then slow up the engine that way, just reducing the speed by helping get a flux of extra build up in the car, and then that's just helping to slow down the momentum even quicker. So that's why you would see drivers, especially with sequentials, where it's easier to downshift, going into third gear and just helping the front of the car rotate.
And it really affects the way the race car distributes the weights as well. As you kind of slow down, it throws some of the weight up towards the nose and really gets those front tires to stick. Sometimes they don't stick, and you just kind of slide up into the outside wall. We've seen that happen a time or two tonight. But speaking of things we've seen before, 89 down low, 66 up high. A restart once again. There goes the 89 car up into the outside. He's going to get up through those gears and come out of the corner with the lead. A single file for 1 and 2, side by side between Richmond and Fairplace for third.
Batby has been really the king of restarts this entire race. All Fairplace looking to the inside of Jeremy Richmond, who are gonna stay side by side, luckily keeping it green. Then have the 97 behind them fighting for position, but Fairplace is going to win out in that battle between him and Richmond, and is going to move up into the third position.
Big wiggle there for Jeremy Richmond in the 98 car. Slides on back to the fourth position. You can see pretty much single file now for the top 10. The 97 car going up on the high side just a little bit to try and feel things out, it looks like, there for the Brian Messer machine. He's going to hold on to the 7th spot right now. But don't look now. The 23 car, the Pepsi ride, looking down low. Christopher Schaefer making it look easy. He's up 12 spots from where he qualified. Haven't talked about him too much throughout the evening, but definitely making that Pepsi fizzle. He's going to try and get up there and take that 7th spot away from Messer.
You can say it looks easy, but we are over 120 laps into this race, so he's had plenty of time to slowly make his way through and relatively kept his car clean. So sometimes that's all you need to do. Just take it easy, let carnage go on around and hope that you're not involved, and suddenly you're up into the top 10 easily and are able to fight for potentially a win towards the end of the race if you keep this up.
And you can see holding on to a top 10 spot for now, but starting to get a little bit of a challenge now from that number 12 car, the Advanced Auto Parts machine of Christopher Miller. Holding on inside the top 10. He's been there for the most part of the evening, and you can see all over the back bumper now, right in the tire tracks of that number 23 ride, seeing if he can get up and maybe learn a thing or two. Going to take a quick dive down here, take a peek. Look at how red those front brakes got as he got on the binders, trying to get that 12 car slowed up, getting into the corners.
You're very hard on the brakes. When I was doing my little bit of testing that I like to do just so I can get a feel for what the car does, I was using, even at times, 100% braking. I'm not the best at Martinsville, I will admit that, so wasn't shifting or anything, but I was getting hard on the brakes, and you have to be very careful not to pull up and lock up, especially the left front suspension wheel.
A little bit of pass for the lead. Ash in the 66 of Brandon 6 moves to the point for the first time under green flag conditions here tonight, and they're going to be coming up on lap traffic here very, very quickly. You can see a couple of drivers in the back of the pace. They're still racing for position up in front of them, so this is going to be very interesting here for the leaders. You can see 6 moving down to the bottom of the racetrack, moving up to the high side, trying to get the preferred line here. You can see the 32 going to move up out of the way. A little bit of a genuine thing, a little bit way up on the high side. 89 is going to try and use it as a pick. You can see Matthew Vitby trying to grab that position, trying to grab that lead, but he's got a couple of lap cars up in front of him.
Sometimes you need to use lap. Oh, we're back under yellow.
Three car
Don't
getting a good
see.
look at that Geico logo there on the inside safer barrier. Grabs the gear, gets it pointed in the right direction once again, but going to bring out a caution flag here. We'll take a peek at the old 10-4 broadcasting instant replay. And man, oh man, I feel like I might have heard this story before. You can see just kind of running, trying to chase down the 9 car, gets into the corner a little bit too hot. No real contact, a little bit out of shape there, gets up into the marbles up there, and as he gets the brake on the brake, it upsets the car, spins him on around, but the good news there for the 3 car and the virtual pit crew there for the number 3, no damage, didn't hit anything, and does a great job of staying out of the racing line, and doesn't involve anybody else in that, but again, the story of the night with these drivers kind of losing the back end of the race car, having to restart from the back of the pack and really work up through all that track position once again.
Yeah, it's really upsetting to see that that third lane is not really viable, and especially even getting into it, it just loosens the car up. I've been watching the chat, and drivers have just been saying how you get up there and you just need to even apply 20% throttle and you're going around. There's no grip up there, so you want to avoid that with your life. But speaking of throttle, just a quick update on Paul Bojanic, who has gone into the YouTube chat just saying how he had a stuck throttle and that's just made logging laps not the easiest thing in the world. So real unfortunate, and hopefully you can get that figured out for next week.
Yeah, next week at Kansas, stuck throttle, you might be able to work that. Here at Martinsville, yeah, a lot of shifting, a lot of braking, and a little bit of throttle. So that's definitely a tough break, but that's one of the things here kind of with the iRacing simulator. There's a lot of different things that go right, but man, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. You've got the mechanical failures in the iRacing cars themselves, random events where things just happen to break. But then you've got the hardware side of things as well, a steering wheel coming off the desk or coming unplugged, the cat chewing through the power cord, turkey's knocking your wheel off the desk. It's craziness. Anything could happen here in the sim racing world, and you think you hear all the stories, and then somebody comes up with a good one. Luckily, it hasn't really been anything out of left field here this evening.
I mean, you can talk about hearing and technical issues. Yesterday, when I was doing a league race, my headset ended up disconnecting, so I ended up going 6 laps at Kentucky in Xfinity in a very tight field with no audio until I ended up coming down ever so slightly because I wasn't able to hear a car below me, and it's not the funnest thing. But another thing I have worry about is with these sorts of cars, you think, oh, it's just a game. There's no real chance of injury. I've had times where I've been trying to drive this car and it snaps sideways, and I just have a Thrustmaster Team X Pro. It's a very bog standard wheel. It's not too powerful, but some drivers are going to be running Fanatec's and Simicubes direct drive wheels. They snap, they can be very, very painful and very dangerous. So even though it's just a game, you can get real life injuries if something bad does go on.
Again, story of my life. But here we go, getting ready to take the restart. Different story up front. Brandon Six going to hold on to the lead. Better place in a better place, holding on to that second position. And there you see a great restart there from the 66 of Brandon Six. Gets it clear of that battle now for second as the 89 car of Batby sets his sight back on the lead.
There was a fairly Brendan front row, but Batby has decided to go into a Brendan sandwich, separating the two of better place and Six, and going to try chase back for the race lead as we are on lap 136 of 325.
A little bit of single file action up towards the front, a little bit of sideways action towards the back. Ian Gencrack in the 25 car brings out caution flag at number 16 here. Just getting into the second third of this race, and you can see the 25 car grabbing a gear, getting it almost pointed in the right direction. We're going to take a peek at the 10-4 broadcasting instant replay one more again to find out what happened. And it looks like it might have been a little bit of tough racing here, a little side-by-side action for a position on the racetrack. And here you have it. There you see the 25, the 24 of Hoots getting a little close there, and it doesn't actually look like there was contact. Looks like it might have been just a loose back end of the 25 car. Could have been a little bit of a tap, 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 but it doesn't look too bad. And there you can see just kind of pancakes the passenger side of that race car into the inside safe for barriers. So No big time damage, it doesn't look like, to the 25, but getting that thing back to the point is going to be another thing. You can see losing a lap there. So going to be a tough race, uphill battle for the 25 crew to try and get that thing back up towards the front.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, especially with going that lap down, but because of the rate that the cautions have been coming out, they should be able to get waved around and back onto the lead lap fairly simply and just keep it out of trouble, have that fast repair, have the tires, and have some sort of luck on your side, and you will be able to fight for the win. Byfield looked like he was out of it at Watkins Glen, but with Batby having an issue whilst leading and leading comfortably, it opened the door wide open, and Fifield was able to capitalize after taking it in the EOL at the start. So it may be bad right now, but it's not the end of the race for sure.
Taking a look at a little big picture action, we've made mention once or twice here before. No repeat winners so far in the first handful of races here with the High Octane Sim Series. Batby in the 89 car led a bunch of laps earlier on. He's already won here tonight. But a couple of drivers, the other two drivers, as a matter of fact, currently sitting on the podium, Brandon Six and Brandon Fetterplace, have not won this season. Those drivers are hungry. They want to come home with the virtual father clock here at Martinsville. They want to make themselves known as a player when we come to playoffs here in just a couple of weeks' time, as we get that ready to get lined up. And man, that 66 car has been strong, but he's going to have the 89 car now restarting on his outside, a little bit backwards than what we've seen all night long here. And as we come to the stripe, iRacing pace car should be shutting those lights off, and we'll be getting ready to go green flag racing here once again.
It's going to be interesting to see if how good of a restart Six can get on Batby. With Batby being on that outside, he's not going to be on the preferred line, so going to open the door for Better Place to maybe think about diving it up the inside and retaking second position away from Batby. But these drivers have raced with each other for long enough now. Batby being the reigning champion from last season in Host, so he knows how to get it done. So be very interesting with when it comes to less than 50 laps to go in particular.
And just want to remind the folks out there as we get ready for the restart here for lap number 142. Tonight's race brought to you by Captain Jack's Smokehouse. Put together back in 2019, but saw some pictures earlier on of a platter of food from those folks. Definitely going to have to check that out here once vacation time rolls around. But there you have it, a little restart action, a little green flag action, and it's a little side-by-side action as they come thundering out of turn number 2. Batby trying to make that high side work. Dangerous place to be, but you can see he's got a little bit of an advantage. Going to try and get that thing out in front. Oh, slides all the way up into the racetrack. Moves a bunch of positions, and he is going to slide on back to, it looks like, almost outside the top 5.
More importantly, he was able to keep it going in a straight line, stuck on that outside right now. So we've seen drivers up in the marbles and just lose the rear end, but was able to just have the patience. And Miss Christopher Miller very nearly got into the back of the 89, having fallen back from that little mess up, but giving the 10 the bumper ever so slightly. It's allowing the Brendan show, and we're back under yellow.
Michael Cunningham in the 9 car, the 32 car gets a little piece of the action as well. Robert Ballard, we saw him have a good run earlier on, but unfortunately found himself a lap down and involved in this 17th caution here on lap number 145. Sounds like some transmission issues there for the 9 car, as you can hear the motor revving and a bunch of squeaking noises, but that thing just don't want to go. Take a look at the instant replay here for 10-4 Broadcasting to find out what it was that that happened there, and see a little bit. Well, it looks like it. Yeah, we'll let the tape tell the story, I guess, on this one. And you can see focus in here coming up on your screen, and you can see almost a little bit of a tap there, and the 9 car kind of almost slows up. No real contact between the 9 and the 99 until after the fact. There's the 32 car getting a little windshield action full of smoke, and just nowhere to go for the Ballard machine, and lots of damage on that. We'll see if we can back that up one more time and just kind of take a peek, maybe up here from the spotter stand to get a little bit better view. You can see the 32 kind of running side by side and not really able to see what's going on, and he's the only car up in that high line other than, I believe it's 24 of Hoots right in behind him. So that is definitely tough, and brings out caution flag once again, gets these drivers an opportunity to kind of slow up and maybe get to work on the car a little bit, but that opportunity not really knocking for too many people. It looks like the 98 car of Jeremy Richmond going to be the only taker on pit road for some of these lead lap cars.
One thing to note that with the High Octane Sim Series, they hold the 10-4 caution lap record from New Hampshire earlier this season with 32 cautions. Right now, we are en route to beat that and get around 35 to 36 cautions. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can beat that record. It's not a good record to have, but with 325 laps here at Martinsville, it's a record that can easily be broken.
Oh, we're going to need more beer. Entertaining race here at Martinsville. We made mention 325 laps on the docket here for 10-4 Broadcasting's coverage of the High Octane Sim Series. Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth for the very first time here for 10-4 Broadcasting alongside, easy enough for me to say, my new Australian friend, Kynan Jones. And Kynan, you've been driving these cars just a little bit. You've got a lot more experience in these things than I have, and we've seen a lot of these guys kind of get loose in these race cars as the night goes on and as it progresses. We made mention you've got the rubber buildup on the outside of the track. As these drivers start to get on and maybe move the racing line up a little bit, is that looseness going to go away, or is that going to be something that's going to be sticking with us all night long?
From my perspective, looking at how they're getting into it, maybe when they're downshifting, they're just causing a little bit of wheel hop, which is then loosening it up, which is then making them have to hesitate before turning in, which is then sending them up the racetrack ever so slightly, which is putting them up into the marbles. Then they try to accelerate, but it's basically just driving on ice, and then that's just sending them around without really any chance of saving it. I first experienced the real sudden looseness in an NIS at Auto Club. Coming out of turn 2, everything felt fine when all of a sudden it's almost like I hit a bump and it just went around. So these things can snap very suddenly, but coming into the Geico restart zone, Brendan Six was able to get another really good start. Not as good as what was seen from Batby, but able to keep out in front, which is all you need to really do.
And Batby doing everything he can to try and get around as many cars as quickly as possible. You can see down on the inside of that number 12 car, trying to make the bottom of the racetrack work for him. 98 shoots on up high. No harm, no foul. Doesn't look like Jeremy Richmond holds on to it. But man, oh man, have we got some racing. And we've got some wrecking.
I had managed to blink out right as we went free wide, and it's like, oh, are we going to make it through? And then it comes back and it's like, well, no, we're not going to make it through.
Solid maybe. But a little bit of a bang there for the 20 Camry, and that's going to be a tough one to swallow. Running up in the top 5, the top 3 for that number 20 car, and we'll take a peek here once again at the instant replay. Got to take a peek, I think, here from the blimp and find out exactly what went down. And here you can see, we'll give it to you in real time. There's the 20 car up high, the 10 car down low. Here comes the 12, the 89 of Batchby. You can see everything good at corner entry, corner exit. 89 shoots down low. There's the 3 wide, and there's a little bit of a blink there for Batchby. Kind of comes back in. The 10 car moved up just a little bit because I think he saw that connection getting a little wonky down on his inside. He wanted to make sure that driver had some room on the inside to come back in with that connection problem. And unfortunately, when you go outside and there's a car there, not exactly the easiest thing to get through with unscathed. So definitely a tough break for Fetter Place. Going to lose all that track position. Going to be back towards the back of the pack. Going to have to restart. Looks like 15th, maybe 16th, as there's 16 drivers on the lead lap currently.
That was a really unfortunate situation. It didn't really look like anyone had really done too much wrong. Batby had the pace and was able to pull up alongside going into the turn, so that's all good. He then warranted himself to get racing room, and the 10 then saw that he blinked and was giving him space, and Fetter Place just free into a 2 wide corner normally isn't going to work, and I would just call that up to a racing deal.
So we get another opportunity for these drivers to kind of figure out what it is they want to do as we approach the halfway marker here in this one. Working lap number 154 of 325, the scheduled distance here this evening. Working the 18th caution. 66 and the 89 have been the story all night long. As you can see, those drivers currently running 1 and 2, and they've been there for about 90%
Oh
of the
no.
laps here all night long. So great racing up front, great action up front, and it's going to be one of those things here, Kynan. Are we going to get a green flag run, a long green flag run here, and give these drivers kind of an opportunity to maybe stretch their legs out just a little bit?
Well, for what had just happened, Matthew Batby was given an EOL, so race control has deemed it unnecessary and has put the blame on Matthew Batby for making it a free wide situation. So Matthew Batby will be starting at the tail end of the field on this restart.
And that's one of those things that's a little bit on the hard side to swallow, as you get one of those things. If you get the little penalty, the black flag, having to restart in the back of the pack, it's really tough. You have to kind of reset your psyche just a little bit and kind of work your way up through the pack once again. And we've seen that happen to a couple of drivers here this evening, and we've seen a couple of drivers that have gotten involved in a couple of wrecks that work their way up, get a little bit squirrely, work their way towards the back. So lots of passing cars throughout the evening here tonight. And the 66 car up front. How about the 10 car? Where'd the 89 go?
EOL.
EOL. I was paying
fault,
attention.
so-
100% at fault. There you go. So that's going to be an interesting storyline to follow here as we get that green flag once again. There it is, the 66 car. Not having to worry about the 89 this time around, but the 10 car comes down just a little bit side by side for second. It's a hornet's nest back in the back of the pack on back. Mid pack on back. Easy enough for me to say.
It was fairly clean right up at the front, but then from second row on back, Jeremy Richmond. Oh, we're gonna have a big one. Oh, luckily drivers seem to have gone. Yeah, not as bad as it could have been.
Definitely could have been a whole lot worse there. The 23 shaking that Pepsi can up just a little bit, and a couple of drivers involved in that one, but it looks like everybody pointed in the right direction after all is said and done. So it gives these drivers an opportunity to kind of get their thoughts reset and reline up as we get ready to line them up, stack them up, and do it again here, working caution number 19 here on lap 159.
So with racing here at Martinsville, it's gonna be tight. So it doesn't look good, but with how it is on iRacing, it's not easy to go around here. Some drivers are going to be wanting to be aggressive, and with the next gen, some drivers may have never driven this car here. From my experience, it's not the easiest to get around. I didn't end up doing the NIS. I did a fixed series race, and it was okay, but just did not enjoy it. And with how heavy this car feels, I prefer a car that you can get on the power and slide it around. That's why I like the Super Lane model so much. It's a fun car to drive. Don't get me wrong, this next gen is also fun, but different sort of skills required to really be able to get around. So we've seen Matthew Batby really have the pace, but having that EOL and having to start in the tail end has been able to keep it out of trouble, but he's going to have to work his way up through the field, deciding, or could have taken some new tires and fuel, but then that would have put him back at the rear. But speaking of the rear, Jeremy Richmond, for causing that incident, will be given an EOL as well. He's going to be going to the back for not the first time tonight, and he's going to have to fight his way back up through the field. But he's had the pace. He's won at Texas earlier this season, so I'm sure we'll see him back up towards the tail end, towards the end of the race.
And that's a long line to restart from 16 cars still on the lead lap here. Robert Ballard in the 32 car looks like still getting some damage worked on that machine. And man, we had 23 cars start the race. Still have most of them out on track still, but it's still a lot of damaged race cars out there. A little bit of a war of attrition. We've used that term once or twice here, but you always get that here at Martinsville in the short track racing. Lots of different things. Made mention again, lots of things go right, but man, there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
With technology, really anything can go wrong, and for some people, it feels like it just goes wrong at the worst time possible. So you've got to worry about the computer issue for in-sim things going wrong. You got to worry about the drivers around you, but then you've also got to worry about the hardware stuff. I know we spoke about this earlier, but it's almost worse than real life. You've got to worry about two different factors. One side you basically have zero control over, and yes, the second side you have some control over, but not as much as you would want. So you got to be really careful and just sometimes pray it doesn't happen.
And then every once in a while, you get to a race on lap 162, and the producer has to run outside and pick up his Grubhub order. Shout out to my Grubhub driver, for Gene, for picking up my Wendy's. We're ready to rock and roll here. Going to stuff the bellies here for the second half of this race and get some racing action out there to the masses. You can see Brandon 6 down on the bottom side. Michael Call up on the high side. Goodyear, Christopher Miller, and Brian Messer going to be the top 5 as the green flag flies once again. And that's where you want to restart from, is that pole position, because Brandon 6 moves on down to the bottom of the racetrack, holds on to that bottom of the racetrack, and he's going to pull away, it looks like, for about 5, maybe 4 or 5 car lengths or so.
Good pass to all I was about to say. He's been finding some pace on the outside, but got really tight, and he's going to move out of that groove that he really wants to be. Oh, we're back on the yellow.
Brian Messer looks like the 97 car pointed in the wrong direction, gets kind of spun around like a top, but gathers it right back up. Don't even think he slipped underneath that third gear, but he's going to gather it back up. Going to be that 16th car now, though, in the back of the pack. Last car on the lead lap. Might get ourselves a wave around here for the number 92 car, as you can see, still on track, and might potentially, well, not going to join the lead lap. Multiple laps down there for the 92 car, but may potentially get one of those laps back. But there you can see the iRacing pace car going to gather these drivers back up and get a little bit of communication out to the drivers. I think at this point you're going to have some of the race officials, the control tower, letting these drivers know, hey, we're trying to put a show on here. So we want to make sure that the racing action is good, but you got to be able to hold on to the cars too. A little bit of a war of attrition. Use that term a couple of times tonight, but man, once we get racing, the racing action is fantastic here with the High Octane Sim Series.
Yeah, we've seen good racing, but we've also seen less than preferable and less than desirable racing. It's kind of reminiscent of New Hampshire, which is a very similar track to Martinsville, just a little bit bigger, but it was that second groove on the track that was really causing the issues. So it's unfortunate that we aren't able to really have better racing that we know we can have with Hoss. But in the chat, we see you, Mr. Timothy Hammond, Mr. Bossman of 10-4 Broadcasting. Say, for this adventure, are we getting hot dogs? Because, I mean, I feel like we kind of deserve it, you know? We're here at Martinsville, the paperclip. I mean, you can at least send us a paperclip, right?
Oh, I'd be down with all of those things, and it looks like a couple of these drivers going to dip on down to pit road and see if they can maybe get themselves some hot dogs. You can see at least right tires going in the 66. How about that? 2 tires for the 20 car. Brandon Fetterplay is going to try and get that track position. He sees exactly what happens to the 89. He sees exactly what happens to the 66 when he restarts up front. He gets that whole shot and gets a little bit of a jump, and he's taking only right side tires to get that thing up front. Oh, by the way, a couple of drivers stayed out on that caution. The 23 and the 98 stayed out, and I believe they just came down recently there. So, going to be interesting up front, getting things shaken up here on lap number 169.
One thing that Fetter Place could be doing with taking only right-hand tires is it will loosen the car, which does sound quite dangerous on corner exit, but if you can maintain it and control it, you will be able to have better turning. And some tracks it doesn't work, but there's some tracks I've taken right tires only at Martinsville and have preferred how much looser it feels. It was Xfinity in particular, even though it's a completely different car in style of how the aero package works, tire profiling, and even the steering column. All different things, but still how the fundamental physics of taking right tires compared to 4 tires. I prefer taking right tires only at most tracks.
And these drivers, a lot of them want 4 tires all the time, every caution. But there's just that track position thing you really got to stay focused on. And these drivers know once you get up towards the front, you got a little bit of an advantage. And these drivers have seen that with Brandon 6 in that 66 car, Batby in the 89. Restarted in the tail end. Oh, by the way, a caution or two ago. Already up in the top 10, restarting in 7th after that pit stop. And he's got 4 fresh tires, oh, by the way. Green flag flies once again. The Pepsi machine shoots out like a rocket. 23 car going to try and hold that bottom side. You can see there on the dashboard. Drops it all the way down to third gear. Cranks it back up. He keeps it in 3rd gear as he gets into turns 3 and 4. I think that's the first time I've seen that as a 10 car goes around.
Looks like the 89 may have also been involved.
89 involved in a big way, and it looks like his hopes for being the first 2-time winner this season may have just gone up in smoke. If not, it's definitely up in sparks as that car is broken. And we're going to take a peek at that once again here on the 10-4 Broadcasting instant replay, and we're gonna have to take a look at this one from the blimp, I think, because that's a nice zoomed out camera, and it'll show all the calamity that just went down. And take a look at this. Focus in. There you see a little bit of a wiggle from the number 12 car. The 89 goes up high. Everything seems okay. 12 gets the back quarter panel to the 10. The 12 goes around. The 10 goes around. 18 gets a small piece. Everybody else back here gets a big piece, big time damage. Big hits for the 89, the 3, the 24, the Hoots machine. And a lot of these drivers coming down pit road. Brandon Matthew, Christopher Miller already down there in the 12 car, getting these things worked on. And tough break, getting closer and closer to the final third, final stretch of this race. Just a little bit past halfway. And to some of these drivers who have already kind of used up that quick repair earlier on in the race, it's a tough thing to see. As you can see the 89 car limping his way down onto pit road, and there's definitely something broken on that machine. Going to give up that top 10 position that he regained to come down and see if he can get that thing fixed.
Batby should still have a fast repair left over. He hasn't been in any big incidents yet, so he should still have it and be able to get that all fixed up. But that's his last lifeline. If he gets in another wreck, he's done for the night, and that's going to... Oh, that... Don't want to miss your pit box, but yep, there it is. Car is all 100% fixed, so he will get back out there just at the tail end of the field, but real unfortunate. There was a bit of drama going on, but how about instead of getting into fistfights, how about we just throw hot dogs at each other? It's Martinsville, may as well make it a new tradition.
On it. I am all on board with that. Working lap number 175 here, 21 cautions here on the evening, and the front row looks a little bit different than it did earlier on here. Used to seeing the 66 and the 89 do battle. Now we're seeing the number 23 car of Christopher Schaefer going to restart from the point. Brandon Fetterplace after a 2-tire stop under that last caution. And the number 20 Bang Camry, he's going to restart in 2nd. Brandon 6th back on to 3rd. Jeremy Richmond, Jeffrey Goodpasture in the top 5. And the rest of the top 10 looking a little something like this. Reef Hatlin in 6th. The 7th position going to be Zach Redness. Haven't mentioned his name too many times here this evening in the 99 car. Having a pretty solid run. Brian Messer up in the top 10 as well. Ian Janekak and Christopher Miller, it looks like. Matthew Batby in the 89 still up in the mix as well. And lights off on the pace car. Lining them up 2 by 2. Getting ready to go racing one more again. 176 laps in the book, and still a little bit of a ways to go before we get to lap number 325. Coming out of turn number 4, once again getting ready for the restart. We're going to see just how hard that number 23 Pepsi car can shake as they come on through, and they're going to get through the gears. Green flag flies side by side between Bang and Pepsi, shooting on down into turn number 1, and the advantage going to go to the 23 machine. Schaefer pulls away by just a little bit. Brandon 6 doing everything he can, gets all the way up to the back bumper, almost through the back bumper, gets onto it. 18 car goes around. That's a tough break for Hatlin, as that's going to bring out the caution flag once again.
Luckily, I was a little bit worried with how he was parked against the wall that he may have hit it hard enough to shear off the suspension, but luckily seems to have been able to keep it all together.
Take a little look-see here at the instant replay, and losing the back end of the race car, the story of the night, and there you see it, hard on the throttle, a little bit too hard, a little bit too much beans, and got that thing pointed in the wrong direction. But You can see damage doesn't look too bad. A little bit of a love tap out there, giving the fans something to look at. And he's going to get that thing down on pit road, see if the virtual pit crew can get that thing
Oh,
worked on and back up to snuff. And actually, you might be right. He might be stuck in that outside safer barrier.
that's always
It looks like he got it
might be
freed up.
fine. Yeah, luckily. I know there's been some tracks that if you hit the wall wrong, it will phase the car in and then you'll be stuck there and we'll have to tow. And at Daytona, if it happens, you're typically in a pack and then suddenly you're flying through the air. So luckily was able to not get stuck in the wall and is going to be able to make it away and seems to have some sort of pace.
180
Matthew Wilson
laps.
in the chat. I go ahead.
180 laps in the book here so far. Taking a peek. Looks like 15 cars now on the lead lap. Isaac Emerson in the 92 car getting the free pass. And it's been an adventure here at Martinsville, and Martinsville doing Martinsville things. Lots of caution flags here, and with a new car, new generation car, and drivers kind of still, I don't want to say they're still getting used to the race car. 8 races into season 3 here with the High Octane Sim Series, but man, oh man, the different styles that we've seen throughout, especially with bringing shifting into the mix. We've seen some drivers go back and forth in between 4th and 5th, and some of these drivers are just keeping it in 3rd all the way around. So lots of different driving styles, lots of different personalities here in the Haas series, the High Octane Sim series, and it's been an adventure here at 10-4 Broadcasting to kind of follow along. And for me, it's been great learning all these new names and numbers and kind of rivalries, if you will, and different driving personalities and driving styles is something that's really tough to keep up with. But these guys definitely putting on a show here in Martinsville.
Yeah, with how different drivers drive, you gotta then take in consideration, and then you're worried about that when you're racing around each other. Some drivers like to take it easy into the turns, while some like to go a lot harder. So if you have a easy-going driver in front, but then you have a hard-hitting, just charge into the turn and worry about corner entry, trying to make up as much time there, but then you compromise your run, then you can make contact there. But quickly in the YouTube chat, Matthew Wilson, who isn't here tonight, race of the year. That's one way of thinking about it. We knew it was going to be a chaotic race at Martinsville, but hopefully we can also get some good lap after lap battling going.
We will definitely see, and we're getting ourselves lined up for one more opportunity to do that as the iRacing pace car shuts the lights off once again. Good to see that wheel and light bar still working pretty good. Right up the road here in Connecticut for those guys. So shout out to them. They don't sponsor us, but they really should. Definitely slide in our DMs. We're always looking for partners. But a restart once again. The 23 car of Schaefer, the 66 car of 6 up on the high side. We wait. We shoot him out of the gate, and there goes the 23 car. Tries to get a little bit of an advantage, but look how hard Brandon 6 piles it on into turn number 1. Tries to get up through the gears just a little bit quicker. Seeing that he can hold on to the high side a little bit, you can see the 23 car backs it up just a little bit. The 66 trying to make the magic happen on the high side. The bang car gets a bang for himself, and that may very well bring out caution flag. Once again, it does.
Oh. Seems like they have decided to turn into a bit of a parking. Oh, that's the small cars as the cameras. Oh.
You know what it was? Somebody in the front row there at the flag stand might have dropped a hot dog. It's been a long night. These drivers are probably getting hungry. I think that's what it was. Somebody dropped a virtual hot dog, and everybody tried to scramble for it. But we'll back up to 10-4 Broadcasting instant replay, and it's a little bit of a racing deal, a little bit of a handling issue for some of these cars, and it's been interesting to kind of follow along here all night long. And we're going to take a peek. There's a little bit of squirreliness coming out of the 3 car, but he gets it sorted back out. The 25 down below the apron a little bit. 12 car hammers it on down, makes it a little 3 wide, gets okay, but then he clips that curb, shoots up the racetrack, gathers it back up, tries to gather it back up, gives her a little bit too much beans, and well, you can see the incident's actually up in front of him as the 25 and the 98 car are already around. So that just goes to show you there's lots of different stories that are going on the racetrack. at the same time. And a lot of times these drivers are trying to keep up with it. And I know we're trying to keep up with it in the production trailer. And every once in a while we get it right. But there you can see the pass for the lead, the 66, trying to hold on to it. It's a little side-by-side action. And just getting into the, or coming out of the corner, getting into the throttle just a little bit too quickly there for the number 20 car. And that's going to send him on around and toggle that caution flag. I believe that's 22 right now on the evening.
Westcon
23.
in the chat, you win some, you lose some. Hoots and Bledsoe are apparently out of the race tonight. We knew Bledsoe had been sent back to the hauler to go eat some hot dogs, but looks like Hoots is also done. Maybe done with damage.
And this is going to be the part of the race as we see, we've made mention a couple of times here tonight, the term war of attrition. Lots of early cautions, lots of mid-race cautions here as well. But these drivers that have used that quick repair down on pit road early on here tonight, getting involved in some of these late mid-race cautions, as it were, not quite able to do the quick repair any longer. And sometimes the damage from the other cars and the inside safer barrier, the outside safer barrier, sometimes it's just a little bit too much, and you have to park that thing down in the garage area. And I think we're going to start seeing some of these cars drop out of the field, shoot on down to the hot dog line, and we'll see how many hot dogs they can eat before the end of this one. Currently working lap number 189 of 325 here on the docket. Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth for the very first time here for 10-4 Broadcasting, covering tonight's race here, race number 8 for season number 3 for the High Octane Sim Series. Working here for the very first time, my good friend now from the country of Australia. I almost said the state of Australia, and that's just, it's been a long work day. It's been a long night. From the country of Australia, Kynan Jones, and man, it's been fun kind of going back and forth and seeing these guys see what they can do here in the short runs. But I think at this point it's time we want to give the fans a little bit of a long run, don't we?
Of course, that's what we want to do. We want to put on as best of a show as we can here at 10-4 Broadcasting. Just a bit hard when we come to a track like New Hampshire, like Martinsville, and even like Bristol. It's very tight track, but more single style groove running where cars can't really break away, but they're all stuck together and carnage is bound to happen. But the 66 getting to a good start, good pass is going to file in behind, getting really unsettled in the mid corner, but going to hold on to second place for now. But the 23, oh, we're back on the yellow.
I believe that was a 23 car. Nope, 23 car holding on to third. We had a car back. I believe this may have been a 10 car, but we'll take a peek at the instant replay. Just kind of nosediving into the outside, calling it just barely there on the live shot. And we'll see if we can back that up just a little bit. I might be completely wrong on who it was. Maybe it was a 92.
The 92.
We'll get this live TV thing sorted out here one of these days for sure. But let's take a look here at the 92. See if we can maybe fast forward. This is coming to the restart. Live TV, folks. That's how we do it. In any sense, there you can see a little bit of a broken car there for the 92. Gonna have to come down on pit road and get that thing sorted out. And I believe he's already used that quick repair down on pit road earlier on in this one. So that's going to be something that the pit crew is going to have to work on. You can see, I can't tell if that's a flat tire or if something is broken, but you can hear it squeaking and squawking and scraping and lots of sparks flying out from underneath it. And you can see the red lights still down there on the entrance of pit road. So I think they're just waiting for that to get opened up before bringing that car down to see what they can do with it. But there you can see up front, still going to be the 66 of Brandon Six. He's been in the top 2 for the better part of the evening. And the 33 of Goodpaster moving on up 7 spots gained from where he started. The 23 car made mention just before the caution flag come out. He's up there in that 3rd position in the Pepsi ride, 17 spots gained on the evening. Bappy back up in the top 5 once again after restarting a couple of times from the back of the pack. Once from a penalty, once or twice from a little bit of racing incidents that put him on back there. The 97 car, Brian Messer, having a good run, up 7 spots into the top 5. Julio in the 78 running in 6th. James Brosker in the 7 car, or the 3 car rather, running in the 7th spot. Zach Redness in the 8th position. Christopher Miller and Brandon Fetterplace rounding out the current top 10. Reef Hatlin and Ian Janecock are going to be the 12 drivers that are on the lead lap. And we started 23. A couple of drivers starting to kind of fall out of the field here a little bit. And some of it's damaged. Some of it's, it is getting a little bit late here on the East Coast, getting to be about 10 o'clock, just about the top of the hour. And want to thank everybody for tuning in here on a Friday night. We're live all over the place. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. Give us a like, a subscribe, a share, all that good stuff. Let your friends and family know you're watching, you're watching a little bit of racing action here at Martinsville. 195 laps down, at least 12 laps to go before we get to that 325 marker. I may mention a time or two on many different networks. I'm not very good at math.
Math is a very complicated thing, so it's not really an easier way to really do it other than if you're just good or you're bad. Kind of like racing. There's some tracks where you're just naturally good at it, and then there's others where you just want to burn the place down. And that's what Isaac Emerson wants to do to this track right now. Came over the driver's channel and was like, can we just burn this track down? It's like, well, we can't, because then where are we going to get our hot dogs from?
Yeah, you don't want to burn the hot dogs. That's definitely no-go there. But how about this? Oh, big wiggle from the 89. That's the first time we've seen a mistake out of the 89 car of Batby on a restart. He may very well lose a couple of positions there. You can see the 33 car sees that open door down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Good pass, trying to see if he can make a little magic happen, but it looks like the 89's gathered it back up. But is it a little too late, as he's going to lose a lot of ground on that 66 ride? You can see big gap, 0.6 of a second, almost 0.7 of a second between first and second place.
Yeah, Batby, for the first time really tonight, has made a fairly big issue. We've seen him make issues in the run, but not on the restart like that, so probably not used to being back there, and it's starting to really show now. But with how long this race is going on and how late that the night is starting to get, right now what you need is W Energy Drink just to help give you all bit of wiggle from Batby, but W Energy Drink, get a nice bit of energy and help keep yourself focused for the last 125 laps of this race.
100%. We are doing green flag racing. Nobody's got time to mix the pre-workout powder with the water and do the shake in the bottle or in the shaker or anything. Dry scoops, let's go. Green flag racing, W Energy Drink. They're just trying to make you better, and what a way to do it. Definitely check them out at w.gg. Let them know the High Octane Sim Series sent you. And man, oh man, getting a little racy back here in the just outside the top 5. Oh no, the 12th car, story of the evening, back of the car went the wrong way. That's going to bring out caution flag number 25. The good news here, though, the good news, nobody else involved. 12 car single spin, bringing out caution flag number 25 here on lap 202.
Earlier on, we saw Kelly Thomas have to sit in the pits for a long time, taking required pairs after using that fast repair, but I'm happy to say they are back out on track. Yes, they are currently on lap 101, whilst every leader is currently coming on to lap 203, so many laps down and won't be able to get back onto the lead lap unless we have a catastrophe of a race and just keep doing caution after caution, which I highly doubt is going to get to that point. So real unfortunate that they are so many laps down, but great to see them back out on track.
Big picture racing, trying to get all the points that they possibly can here at Martinsville, knowing we're going to have a couple more drivers drop out before the end of this one. Taking a quick look here at the pit stop stint length. This is how long these drivers have been out on this set of tires since their last pit stop. You can see up towards the front, pretty much for the top 9, 10, everybody within 10, 15 laps or so on the same tires. Actually, matter of fact, all the way back on through 13th to 15th or so. So nobody really getting too much of an advantage on tires, and we've had, I think, enough caution laps since these drivers have been down pit road last to kind of cool those tires and give it an even playing field here throughout the field. And up towards the front, man, these two drivers have been putting on a clinic. The 89 of Batby back up into the second position, back up and through and back and towards the end and up towards the front, all the way through the field 3 or 4 times here this evening. Finds himself in second with less than 125 laps to go here in this one at Martinsville. Brandon 6 holding on to the inside, holding on to that pole position for now, but it's got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
I know we've been talking a lot about Brendan 6 and Matthew Batby with our current P1 and P2 position drivers, but just want to give a quick little shout out to Good Pasture in the 33 in the third position. Having had quite a bad day at Nashville Superspeedway last week, had a connection issue, and then when he came out of the pits, he ended up self-spinning, so real unfortunate to have that all happen, but great to see him running up in the top 3 tonight.
Telling you before this race, a little bit of extra spit shine on those chrome wheels. 6 horsepower per. That's 6, 12. That's 24 extra horsepower from those chrome wheels. So definitely going to see if he can make a little magic happen. Going to be restarting on the inside there, row number 3. Still up in the top 5 there for the 33 car. And man, this is going to be exciting. These drivers getting them lined up once again. Taking a quick peek at the live timing and scoring. 12 drivers on the lead lap, and still a couple more drivers outside of that lead lap that are out on track, getting all that they can as far as the points go. But the pace car's down on pit road. Brandon 6, Brian Messer going to bring us to the restart. There goes the 66, shot out of a cannon once again. The 89 is going to try and follow him through down there on the bottom side.
The 89 having that preferred inside lane is going to be able to help him keep a hold of the second position. Good Pasture also has that inside lane, trying to get past Brian Messer. It's going to be alongside going into turn 1. The 97 being a lot more aggressive than the 33, being able to run a deeper line, but the 33 having the preferred faster line is going to be able to just stay out ahead ever so marginally. The 97 got to be careful as I'm so sorry. It's been a long night and it's only going to get longer. The 78 moving up into the 4th position, 97 dropping back, but he has to be careful not to lose another position to third place.
Close quarter racing here. There you see a little action with the 33. A lot of give and take, and as this race goes on, that give's going to give way, and it's going to be take. And there you can see the 20 driver. He's going to take a position back from that 33 car. Fetter Place moving on up towards the front. And you can see he's going to set his sights now on the 3rd position. Shoots that thing all the way down on the bottom side. Does a great job holding on to it. That car right now is gripped up. He's going to pull away from the 4th car battle, or from the 4th place battle rather, and set his sights on those 2 other drivers. About 3 seconds out in front for 6 and Batby.
Batby and 6 have been able to really pull away from the rest of the field. Clearly showing, we got a car up high, and
hold on to
we
it,
can all keep
almost.
Oh no.
18 car gets a little bit of a lub tap on the way to almost getting that thing saved here, but caution flag number 26 going to fly here on lap number 212, and we're going to get it restacked, re-racked, and ready to rock and roll one more time. Probably a couple more times throughout the evening here, but we'll take a peek here at the W pre-workout energy drink instant replay, and same story for the car. A little bit light on the back end, and gets the back end to come on around, and it's hard to explain what it is that happens. It's just as the car kind of shifts momentum into the corners, you can see a little bit of a high entry there, not able to gather it back up and up into the outside wall. Tries to get it saved, and unfortunately 12th car didn't quite get the clear word from the spotter, and you can see Barney in the flag stand waving that yellow flag like it's his job. Going to bring out the caution flag here for us and get these cars slowed up. There you can see the leaders, the 66 and the 89, coming into the picture. So the good news there for the 18 of Raf Hatlin, he's going to stay on the lead lap, and going to be one of 12 drivers, it looks like, that are going to be on the lead lap.
Looking in the YouTube chat, Fade Productions just calling out hot dog. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe spectators are throwing hot dogs onto the race surface, which is then acting like banana peel from Mario Kart, and that's just loosening them up. Maybe that's what's going on.
Definitely could be. Maybe there's some relish getting out under the tires. A little bit of spicy brown mustard. Who knows? There's all sorts of things that could be going on here at Martinsville, but we've seen a lot of the same since these drivers started practicing here a couple hours before the show, and really tough to get these stock cars around this paperclip half mile, especially with just how light the back ends of the cars seem to be. And a lot of these drivers know that in order to be fast around this track, you really need to downshift and use those kind of lower gears. But every time you do that, you maybe shift down into fourth or third or potentially even second if you're trying to get just a little bit of a boost there. It spins those tires and it gets the back end of the car around.
Yeah, it's very confusing on why the cars are snapping so viciously around without anyone really having too much chance to save them. Maybe if it was daytime, it would make a little bit more sense, but with being nighttime, you would expect there to be a lot more grip than what we are currently seeing. So it's a really unfortunate thing, but 6 cautions away from equaling the highest caution amount with the high octane and 10 full broadcast. So hopefully we don't get there, but something tells me we're going to, unfortunately.
Still about a third of this race left to go here this evening at Martinsville. A couple of drivers coming down pit road. Looks like the back half or so of the lead lap cars coming down to get some tires, get a little Sunoco race fuel, and basically change up their strategy from the rest of the field here. Brandon Six, Matthew Batby up in the top 2 spots. Fetterplace, Goodpaster, and Schaefer the top 5. Broseeker, Jankak, Reedness, Messer, Halton, Miller, and our buddy Julio in the 78 car. Really don't want to butcher that last name. We're gonna get it figured out, I promise. But that's gonna be the 12 drivers on the lead lap currently here. And speaking of currently getting ready to go green flag racing once again. 66, a little bit early on that time, but he gets to pick when the restart happens, and he chose to go and caught everybody sleeping. It looks like 0.3 of a second going to be the gap between first and second.
Yep.
And just like that, I believe that's going to be the 98 car of Jeremy Richmond pointed in the wrong direction. Didn't quite see what happened, so the glory of the instant replay button, we'll back that up and take a little peek, see what happened. And it looks like, well, a little bit more of the same. Car just seemed to kind of snap around there for the driver of the 98. You can see gets in the corner okay. A little bit too much brake, maybe a little bit too much throttle, and just kind of brings the back end of the car around the front end of the car. And another driver does a great job getting the thing slowed up, and it was a close call with the pace car, but luckily the pace car got by, no harm, no foul, and doesn't look like the 98's going to lose a lap, I don't believe, but definitely going to have to come down pit road, at least get 4 tires on that thing.
Yeah, when you're in the back like that, and with how the tires are wearing, you've got plenty of sets left, so you may as well just help. It seems like, yep, he has been given the black flag, and he is done for the night.
Race officials letting these.
Tires for you.
What was that?
Yes, no tires for Jeremy Richmond.
Yeah, a couple of extra tires to bring on off to Kansas. I'm sure it's the same compound, right?
Yeah, you can make it work, right? Surely.
Where there is a will,
yeah.
there is a way. And we made mention a couple of times here tonight. Kansas next week. Right after that, the week following on September 2nd, going to be Richmond, the night race. And that's going to set us up for the playoff. And how about this 5-pack of races for the playoffs? Talladega kicking it off for 122 laps. Sonoma, Kentucky, Dover, and Phoenix going to be the championship 5 races. And that's going to be fun to watch here with a High Octane Sim Series. Very different racetracks, different disciplines throughout. Little short track racing, little mile and a half, little super speedway racing. And that's my bread and butter. That's what I used to be good at back in the day when I used to do this sim racing deal before I started listening to myself talk. And super speedway racing really has a soft spot in my heart. It's tough to kind of follow on. I know everybody says they can do it, and it really is like a team sport. Even if you've only got 2 drivers that are out there kind of working together, very seldom do you see one driver able to go out and really make the magic happen on a super speedway course or super speedway racetrack. But you get 2, 3 drivers maybe hooked up, or a whole team of drivers really able to put on a show, and it kind of puts on a cool rivalry type deal.
Yeah, super speedway racing is a lot of fun to do and to watch, but it can also be very stressful. I'm very hit or miss. It's very exciting, can get the adrenaline rushing, but when you're getting into the pack and it's coming down to those dying moments, I like to ride in the back for most of the racing and start make my way through when it matters, when everyone is starting to have a lot of damage. But when you start to get in those moments where everyone's starting to get real aggressive, it's like, oh, okay, what's going on? And then your heart rate starts increasing dramatically, and then suddenly you're trying to find any chance to just breathe for a second.
Doing all the breathing they can as we get ready. Green flag flies once again, and Brandon Six shaking him up just a little bit on these restarts. Knows that he can't get himself caught sleeping. As we get closer and closer to the end of this race, Batby great on the restarts. Loses a little bit of ground on the lead, but he's able to close right back up. Still in his tire tracks. A little bit of a 5-car breakaway here between Six, Batby, Goodpaster, Fetter Place, and Schaefer in the 23 car, holding on to P5. And a little bit further on back, pretty much single file it looks like. A little bit of squirreliness back, a little racing action. A 10-car going on down below the number 25 car. That is, in fact, for position. P8 on the line in that battle. And these drivers know that it's getting close to it. Less than 100 laps to go here at Martinsville for the High Octane Sim Series. And we want to get this thing done, get some beers, get some hot dogs, and get on over to Kansas, get some racing action. But before we get there, got to finish it up here tonight for race number 8.
Well, once I get done here tonight, I think I might need to go to Captain Jack's Smokehouse. That stuff looks beautiful, and just thinking about it makes me hungry right now.
Yeah, we saw pictures earlier on of the food the Captain Jack Smokehouse has to offer. Definitely got to check those guys out. And I'm a big fella myself. I love me some barbecue, love me some steak, and those pictures, I'm sure, don't do them any kind of justice. Definitely check them out all over the interwebs. Check out the website, check out the social media outlets. Do a quick little search for Captain Jack Smokehouse, and man, oh man, I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed with that food menu for sure.
I may not have a big appetite, but even I think it looks really good. So, oh, we're back under yellow. Looks to
Made
be
mention
good.
the 33 car. Looks like the chrome might have had a little bit of blemish in those chrome wheels. 33 car of Goodpaster bringing out caution flag number, I don't remember, 24, I think. Long night here at Martinsville, and man, it looks like again more of the same here on the 10-4 Broadcasting instant replay. Coming on in to the corner, everything looked okay. A little bit high, a little bit wide, a little bit handsome on the entry. Coming back up, back end of the race car just wants to come on around, and you can see big damage there, big time hit on the front of that race car on the inside safety barrier, and losing all that track position as he lets the field go on by, so as he doesn't back into anybody. And it's a gentleman thing to do, but man, oh man, is that tough when you're giving up all that track position. But it is one of those things. Going to have to restart in the back, and you can see the 33 car now coming down pit road to get that car worked on. It definitely has used that faster pair at least once, well, not at least once already earlier on in an incident. So the virtual pit crew going to have to see if they can get that thing worked on. Joined by the 3 car and the 78 also coming down pit road to get some work done. You can see a little damage there on the right rear quarter panel of the number 78 car, James Broseker, and the number 3. He's got some damage on that machine as well. And you can see, looks like a big hit there up on the right rears. The tire's kind of a little cattywampus, little pointed in there up on the top side. But crew's going to try and work on that. Matthew 6, check that, Brandon 6, Matthew Batby still up front, still 1 and 2 here on lap number 232. Caution flag number 28 here at Martinsville Speedway.
Brennan Fetter placed a little bit further back in the 3rd position, has been able to claw his way back up through the field, so be interesting to see if he can really put on a hard charge towards the end of the race and see where he can finish off. Still looking for that first win, but if you look back to the clash at the Coliseum just before Daytona at the start of the season, Better Place ended up winning that and grabbing those 20 bonus points for the start of the season. So he knows how to get it done on these very short tracks. So it'd be interesting to see if he can maybe work his magic again and get into victory lane.
100%. And these drivers getting a little bit of An extra breathing room here. Looks like the 10 car going to slide back a few positions, get lined back up where he is lined up. That made a whole lot of sense. The English language, sometimes I struggle with it. Working lap number 233, 325 on the docket. We are live and interactive here this evening. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all over the place on the internet as we entertain the masses here. 10-4 Broadcasting, bringing you coverage of race number 8, season number 3 with the High Octane Sim Series. And it has been one heck of a season so far, following up on some of the races that have happened here on 10-4 Broadcasting throughout the season, trying to get a little bit caught up for myself here, making my debut in the broadcast booth. Been pretty crazy because we've had 7 different winners in 7 races, and man, that 89 car, Batby, doing everything he can to potentially be the very first driver to win multiple races this season. He's going to restart on the outside of that front row.
Batby's going to be looking for that second win, but Brendan Six and Brendan Fetterplace are going to be looking to deny him that chance. Coming into the restart zone, Six decides to go early, but Fetterplace isn't able to capitalize on that low line. Batby is able to then pull back down onto that inside line, and then we're back to single file.
Single file for the front 4, almost 5 cars, little double wide action back there outside of the top 5. The 23 car trying to make a little magic happen. Christopher Schaefer trying to get back up into the top 5. He's got a strong car, but he's got a little bit of damage from an earlier incident, and he's going to try and see what he can do. You can see a couple of cars moving up into the outside wall, holding on to it. Looks like everything is all good. We stay green. A 33 car coming into the picture. A little 3 wide action for your pleasure, and it's going to slide that car back a little bit further on back in the running. 33 moving into the top 10, currently running 9th, actually qualified in 9th. So the 33 trying to make some magic happen, trying to show that chrome is still a little on the shiny side. But back up front, you can see Brandon Six starting to pull away in a big way. I think that's the biggest lead we've seen all night.
Yeah, I was looking a little... Oh, we're back on the yellow. I was looking a little bit further back, and... Oh, it looks like Good Pastor is involved again, but... As I was saying before I cut myself off twice now, I was looking a little bit further back, and Nick Alford had gone into the wall, and he's going to be taking it back to the pits. Probably going to have to require repairs with that front right wheel wobbling around all over the place. Real unfortunate, he's already multiple laps down, so that's not going to be helping his case whatsoever.
Taking a peek at the replay, same story, different car, different driver here, and you can see almost identical to, I think we saw the 33 do this about 100 laps or so ago, just coming out of the corner number 2 there, or coming out of corner number 4, rather. Just gets a little bit into the throttle too early and gets the car spun around, a little bit of a tap there on the inside corner of that race car. Not a huge amount of damage, but again, track position, very, very important here at the short tracks, especially here in the final third of this race as we take lap number 240 as we cross the stripe. 29 cautions here on the night, and it's been a long one for sure. War of attrition, having some drivers, more and more drivers here, it seems, getting put into the garage area either by race officials or by, well, mechanical failures. Lots of damaged race cars throughout. So definitely going to be a lot of virtual parts here at the swap beat on the front straightaway after this one. Some damaged cars throughout the field. I think we're going to be hard-pressed to go through the field here and find one car that doesn't have any damage.
Probably Brendan Six, if anyone. He's been up near the front and has been keeping out of trouble this entire race, so if anyone's going to have a clean car, I'd say it's going to be that 66 completely black Toyota Camry.
Doing everything he can to be out in front of the trouble, and definitely seen that happen before. We haven't really had too many long green flag runs, but we did see lap traffic came into play earlier on here when these two drivers were battling for the lead between Batby and Brandon Six in that double 6 machine, and definitely could be something we're going to want to keep an eye on here. Taking a peek at the timing and scoring, looks like 11 drivers now on the lead lap of the 23 that started this event, and as we get a little bit further and further into this race, as we get a little bit closer to the end, I think that number may dwindle just a little bit more. But that also puts a lot of slower cars on the racetrack and could affect the outcome of this one if we end up coming up on some lap traffic. But we'll see what happens. Still a long way to go before we get there. And it's been, a story of these two drivers, Brandon Six and Matthew Batby in the 89 car, going back and forth, swapping this lead. We've seen the 89 car go to the back of the field and drive his way up through multiple times. One penalty and a couple of incidents throughout the field or throughout the race here this evening, and really showing he seems to have this place figured out here in Martinsville, and he's just trying to get a little momentum rolling and get himself up into the lead. But you can see he's going to restart from P3, going to be inside that second row. Bang, number 20, going to be on the outside of Fetter Place. Messer and Reedon is going to be the top 5.
Just when we thought things weren't exciting enough, we just had our first little love bot come into the chat, but they have been exiled, coming to go back to green on lap 1 or 243, going to 244. Matthew Batby is going to need to get a good start and not let Fetter Place pull in front of him. 6 left it late, but that's allowed Batby to easily clear Fetter Place going into turn 1.
And we've seen the 66 do lots of different things on those restarts, keeping everybody guessing. You don't want to show all your cards before the end of the race. And he's shown that he started early, started late, started on time, and either way, he's been able to pull away by at least a couple of car lengths. This time, though, Batby able to hold on in the tire tracks. The Bang Machine trying to make it happen on the outside, trying to get slid on in front of the 97 of Messer, and does so. Fetter Place holds on solidly to that podium spot right now. P3 for the number 20 car. 97 going to try and set his sights on the back bumper of the Bang Can and see if he can move himself back into that position. And you can see just overdriving just a little bit high of an entry there, trying to get back up to the back bumper. He got passed, he got beat, and he wants to refocus and try and get back up there and let him know that he's no slouch.
Matthew Batby, being the reigning championship of High Octane Sim Series, has something to prove, whilst the newcomer or relative newcomer has only made one other start and is now up in first position and is taking it to Batby, showing, hey, you may be the season champion, but I'm here to really fight you for it. I'm here to make a word, so you better remember me, because I'm coming for your crown.
Seemingly picking up from where he left off last season, up towards the front in the point standings. The 89 car trying to become the first multiple race winner here in season number 3 for the High Octane Sim Series, and doing everything he can. He's holding on to second right now and led a bunch of laps here tonight as we cross the stripe for lap 250, getting down to the nitty-gritty. 75 laps to go here at Martinsville. Caution flag flies for number 30. Robert Ballard looks like he's pointing in the wrong direction.
75 laps to go in this Martinsville race. Going in, saw Martinsville on the schedule, people were scared, and it's the paperclip. This is what you got to expect. It's not an easy track to get past on, so you need to be aggressive. But you be aggressive, and chance of mistakes are going to be much higher.
Gathering these drivers back up once again, and we've seen lots of different restarts, lots of different start times for the 66, for the 89. These drivers know that they can't keep that same starting point throughout the rest of the race. They need to keep their competitors guessing. They need to start early one, maybe start a little bit later. You don't want to give away your cards. You don't want to show what kind of cards you're holding on to, and you want to make sure you keep everybody guessing all the way through the end of the night, through that checkered flag, and you want to hold on to it as we get a driver coming back around to gain himself a lap. And taking a peek here at timing and scoring, it looks like we get 10 cars on the lead lap, again, of the 23 that started here this evening. Working at lap number 251. Caution flag at number 30 here tonight. What's the record from New Hampshire?
That would be 32 laps. Or 32 cautions.
It's been a doozy here tonight, but you know what? It's still entertaining the masses here that we do here in the iRacing world, and something you want to check out. Definitely go to iRacing.com. New members are always welcome. You can check out a little bit of racing action, all sorts of different styles, from oval track, oval racing, road racing, dirt racing, a little rallycross, lots of different things going on in the iRacing world. And got to give out a shout out to the W pre-workout powder. Check them out, man. www.w.gg. Probably just Google it, because that's a lot to kind of tongue twist into the old interwebs browser there. But man, that pre-workout is awesome. As a small business, they just want to make you better. And what a way to do it with a little pre-workout. Get that focus nailed in and ready to rock and roll. And also tonight's racing action brought to you by Captain Jack's Smokehouse. And I know we've been talking about these pictures. I finally got one of these pictures. I got this thing lined up. Boss man Timmy sent me this earlier today. This is the kind of food that you can get over there at Captain Jack's Smokehouse. Looks like some custom-made barbecue sauces there in the background. That's a pint of beer over there on the right-hand side. You're starting to talk about a good time there at Captain Jack's, I'm telling you.
It's been a while since I've had a barbecue, but man, I'd love to go there just to even try the food. It looks really good, and I'd use other words, but we can't say them things on air, so I have to keep to myself. But one thing I won't keep to myself is that looked really good.
100%. Trying to keep it a little on the PG side. It looks really good. I'll co-sign that.
Makes me really hungry.
100%. I'm just waiting to break into this bag of Wendy's here, but I'm going to wait till the checkered flag because we got some racing to watch here. Restart once again. The 89 is antsy. He's trying to read that 66, trying to listen for that throttle out his window. Late start, and there you see it. 89 gets up into the gears a little bit quicker this time around, and he's going to come into the corner all the way up on that back bumper. You can see less than a car length now between the leader and second place, and everybody gets single file throughout the top 10 relatively quickly. That 89 car is starting to look at that lap ticker. He's starting to see we're getting close to the end of this thing. Got to make the magic happen now.
Fade Productions, we don't want yellows either, but by listening to the driver's chat right now, it sounds like something may have happened, but we stay green. Hopefully we can stay green to the end of the race. That would be the goal, and then hopefully we can have one hell of a finish. But with how the aggression's going to be starting to turn up, it's only a matter of time before we get another caution. And then when do you pit? Do you take tires? If you stay out, then maybe you'll get involved in something else, and that's not what you want. But Jeffrey Goodpasser has now taken it to the garage. It looks like Nick Alford also has a lot of damage on his car, so might be taking his car to the garage as well.
Battle for the lead starting to heat up here, working lap number 258. Little onboard shot there of our current leader, Brandon Six, all the way down on the bottom side of that racetrack to that curbing. All the way up to the wall, scrapes the outside wall just a little bit. Doesn't even slow him down. You can see still about a car length in between he and that second place driver of Batby in the 89 car. And Rafe Houghton brings out caution flag at number 31. '18 car saw just collected in a little bit of an incident earlier on here, and once again, Martinsville's I'm going to blame maybe the pavement and the marbles, I think, on this, because there's a lot of drivers just kind of losing the back end. I don't want to blame it all on the car. But here's a shot of the 18 car. Comes out of turn number 2, I believe that is. Heads on in. Beautiful entry. Right up in where everybody else is. Just not able to hold the bottom and gets up into that loose stuff up on the high side and just gets the car spun right around. No damage on the 18. No additional damage, we should say, on that 18 car. He's going to get the thing spun around, pointed in the right direction, and I believe he's going to be the final car on the lead. Nope, first car one lap down in that 9th position for the 18 car. So a long night, gets a little bit longer here on lap number 261, but starting to get down to it here, starting to get down to the end. And I don't want to say that we're going to get things heated up because they've been hot all night long, but business is about to pick up.
Yeah, something else that has picked up is race control has been a little bit angry, so Robert Barr Jr. and James Brosecker have been now given a black flag and are done for the night. At least those drivers can now go finally get a hot dog, but for the drivers still out on track, 63 laps left to go in this race. I believe my math is correct.
At least 12 laps to go here in this one. We'll go with that. That's what my sticky note says. We got at least 12 laps to go here in this one. But Man, those top two drivers, they've been in the top two for the better part of the evening. Brandon Six in the 66 and Matthew Bappy in the 89 car. Talking about them all night long. They've been up towards the front. We've seen that number 20 of Bang car, Brandon Fetterplace, doing a great job holding on to the top five and right about where he qualified, too. Qualified P4, had a pretty good lap to get a good pit stall selection. A lot of pit stops here this evening. A lot of action down on pit road. And right in behind him, biggest gainer, one of the biggest gainers here, 16 spots gained on the evening in P4, Christopher Schaefer. In at that 23 Pepsi ride, you can see him there. Been up towards the front for the better part of the night. And Brian Messer in the 97 car also having a good run. 7 spots gained on the evening so far to really round out that top 5.
Rafe Hatlin has also now just been given a black flag, and someone in the chat is asking if can possibly review what happened and show a replay on what happened to Nick Alford earlier on in this race. Would be the last thing that happened that broke his car.
They can take a peek at that because that's how technology works. Pull up a little 10-4 broadcasting, almost instant replay. We'll call it the minute replay, I guess you could call it. It takes us a minute to get there.
Oh, that's strange.
This is Nick Alfred we're looking at in the instant replay with the 95 car.
Correct. Just hang in there, we're almost there.
Take a peek.
Everything looked all good here.
Taking a peek, 95. Ah, there it is. Yeah, there's a little bit of a shot in the shorts there from the 3 car. It looked like. I don't really know what the story was behind that, but that's an aggressive hit for the number 3 into the back of the 95. But we're green flag. I was looking at that so hard, missed the green flag. But looks like a little bit more of the same. Lap 265 being led by Brandon Six. A couple of car lengths in between he and Bappy, the top 2 drivers all evening long. Brandon Better Place trying to close in. And how about that 78 car? Julio moving his way up towards the podium finish.
Julio Villalobos up in the 4th position. Good run. I hadn't seen where he came from, so great to see him back up. And who knows, maybe you might be able to get that interview with him, like you said earlier in this broadcast, that you would get for the end of the broadcast tonight.
267 and the book here, 325 the scheduled distance here at Martinsville. The 89 car doing everything he can to try and send out a rope and a hook to the back bumper of the 66. And we've seen these guys closely racing together all night long, whether it's been restarts or green flag racing. And you can see a little onboard action there from Matthew Bappy doing everything he can, trying different lines, getting right up down onto the bottom side of the racetrack on that curbing to try and get a little bit of an advantage, maybe find a little bit extra grip that the 66 car isn't able to take advantage of. There you can see the corner exit, a little bit lower for the 66, just trying things, doing his homework, seeing what works. Oh, he's going to lose the back end of the race car and back into the outside. What? That's our 2nd place car.
Oh.
Just gets T-boned by the 3 car, I believe it is. That is a tough break for our defending champion in that 89 car. But that just goes to show you here, it could happen to anybody.
Now, hopefully that hasn't just sheared off that left front suspension. If so, he's going to have to take it to the pits, and he's not going to be able to repair it.
And that is going to be tough. A couple of drivers coming down pit road as we queue up this instant replay. We were on board with the 89 when it happened, and this is, in fact, what had happened. The 89 car just gets in there a little bit too hot, sends that back end around the car before the front end, and here you can see comes up. That's the 99. Apologize to the 3 car. The 99 car comes up and gives the, you can hear a lot of squeaking in that 89 car. Does not sound good as a couple of drivers are down on pit road.
Luckily, it seems like the wheel is technically still working, so shouldn't be required repairs, hopefully. But real unfortunate. Maybe just tried putting it down a gear as he's been doing all night long and just grabbed it wrong, and it just took off on him.
So that's going to be one of the things here. If he can get back out on track without losing a lap as he gets some of that car worked on. We already saw up and down on the right side and left sides. He's got 4 fresh Goodyear tires on that car. There you can see the pace car. He's going to make sure he gets out in front of that pace car, so not going to lead a lap, or not going to lose a lap, rather, just yet. And the lights are still on the iRacing pace car, so he's going to get a little bit of time to get caught back up. Potentially may even come back down pit road to see if they can hit it once or twice more with the virtual sledgehammer and see if he can get up towards the front with it.
We've spoken about a race of nutrition, but with how many drivers are starting to drop out, because Rob Ballard was DQ'd and given a black flag, he is currently in 11th. So there's a couple of drivers still running a bit further back who can still finish up in the top 10 still, even after getting so much required repairs.
And a couple of drivers coming on down pit road here. The lights are still on the iRacing pace car. And man, oh man, things are going to get interesting here as we've got, it looks like 52 laps to go here. Taking a quick peek, 40 laps to distance for Julio and Schaefer, the top two drivers. That's when the last time they came down for tires. Brandon Six, he came down this past lap, as did Messer, as did Fetterplace, all came down for fresh tires and fuel. So we're going to see, we've had 40 laps on the set of tires there for the top two drivers, but they haven't really been 40 hard laps. They've been a lot of caution laps, a little bit of time for those tires to kind of loosen up and cool off just a little bit. And we're going to see if these drivers can put their monies where their tires are, and we're going to get to restart once again to cross the stripe for lap 275 as the iRacing pace lights are out.
The 66 is going to be the first car on those new tires. Julio Villalobos is going to have to get a really good start, and he's going to hope that his tires can hold on for these last 50 laps. Now is going to be when drivers are going to be getting real aggressive. We thought it was aggressive before, now it's going to be really aggressive time, but not getting the restart that he needed. The 66 might be able to clear him. Not quite, he can't quite cut down unless he wants to take himself out, but he's going to keep it up high, use that momentum, and going to clear the 78 on the back straightaway.
Tried to time it just right, and the timing was off just a little bit for the 78, but it was just right for Brandon Six. Moves himself back into the point. He's got those fresh tires as well. And take a peek a little bit on further back. Matthew Batby has a lot of damage after that incident, but he's got 4 fresh tires underneath that race car, doing everything he can to try and get back up to the point. He's in 4th right now. He's got his sights set on Fetterplace in that 3rd position. That 20 Camry still trying to hold on to the podium spot, but for how long? The 89 is all over the back bumper.
89 has to be a little bit cautious. Seems to still have the pace. Damage isn't seeming to be too much of a factor, but the more aggressive you go, the harder the car is going to be used, so you can be putting more load through it, which means you can easily unload it, and then suddenly you're going off into the wall. He had his little mistake earlier on, and that did cost him some time. Luckily, it didn't cost him his race with how the 99 got his right or left front tire, but still going to be a bit of a wake-up call to maybe dial it back. But I say that as he's going to look to the outside, going to try use the 78 as a pick to try make a run on the outside of the 20, pushing the 78 going into the turn, still on the outside of the 20, keeping his nose there and being nearly free wide, and there's a bit of netcode sending
how about that
the
save?
78 around, but not easy to do, but luckily these cars can straighten themselves out. 78 nearly got really badly screwed over by netcode.
And that's one of the things that happens here in sim racing. It's been happening. Oh no, it's right. Julio around. Julio was up in the top 3 for the longest time, led a couple of laps. Doesn't look like he hit anything, but spun out and lost a bunch of track position. And that's going to bring out caution flag number 33 here for the evening.
There it is, new record.
New record. How about it? What do the kids say? New track record.
Well, not the record anyone wants to be.
We're going to have to tell the boss man we each want a hot dog for every caution flag here tonight. That's 33 times 2. Carry the 1. That's at least 12 hot dogs.
And no, I think it's at least 11. Maybe 11 and a half.
11 and a half hot dogs, por favor. But man, oh man, you can see a little bit of netcode happening there. That's the awesome save from the 78. Gets it pointed in the right direction, and he was involved in the incident after the fact, you can see a little bit high on entry, a little bit higher on exit. Everything looked good there for the 78. Gets on down into 3, and there you see it. Back end, it holds on to it. Big slide. No hits, no spins. Almost a half spin for the 78, but a phenomenal save. That right there was some heads-up driving.
I'm actually going to use my own little camera and take a look on the in-car, just see if maybe when he went around, if it was right when he went down to third. Oh, yeah, it looked like as soon as he grabbed third, that's when the rear end started to step out.
And we've seen that happen time and time again here. The tires not gripping the track as they, as you would think they would, especially up in the high side of the track in the marbles, and light end in the back end rather being a little bit lighter in these cars, but a lot of it's got to do with those quick downshifts. And you want to get everything you can. You really want to get it that little bit of a boost and that extra little drive coming off the corners. But sometimes, like you said earlier on here tonight, you give her a little bit too many beans and she just spins on around. But I look at it, and I'm sure Captain Jack Smokehouse is the exact same way. Man, you can never have too many beans, especially when it's good with good steaks and barbecues. You gotta have the beans, man.
I'm not too big of a fan of beans, but I'm a big fan of steak.
Huge fan of steak.
You can all for you.
So
but
now,
I will take the steak and the ribs.
Well, with your steak, do you get it done? Do you get it done rare or do you get it done raw?
Medium rare.
I'll get down with medium rare. I could respect that. I like that. But absolutely, definitely check them out, man. Captain Jack Smokehouse. We're gonna throw that picture of the platter of food up there, man. Maybe this is what Tim said. We're not gonna get hot dogs tonight. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2 hot dogs. But man, look at that. There's some pulled pork action on there, some custom sauces, house-made sauces in the background. And how about that? A pint of ice cold beer to wash it all down here. And somebody's gonna be washing it down here with some ice cold beer here in just a couple of laps, handful of laps left here on the evening. Been a long night, lots of caution flags, but we got lots of racing action, and we got some entertainment values that we are going to get cranked way up. The Brett 66 of Brandon 6 up on the high side. The Bang 20 machine of Fetter Place down on the bottom side. The pace car's off. The lights are off. Green flag flies. The 66 gets a massive restart going into 1.
The 80, I believe it was the 89 at least. Oh, no, we're wrecking again. Oh, but we keep it going, yes. No caution.
Yeah, still green. Let's go.
Everybody gathers. We didn't get a caution.
Oh, and you can see the 89 car giving it a little bit too much there, coming out of 4 up into the outside wall. He's going to lose back. You can see big time loose as he gets in down to corner number 1, comes off 2. It looks like everything is okay, but Bappy doing it, you can see, really cranking it up and trying to burn the wick at both ends, trying to get to the back bumper of that P2 machine. Can he get there? Can he pass him? If he does, can he get caught back up with that 66 machine and make it a 2-car race like we've seen all evening long? But right now, Brandon 6, half a second, 0.6 of a second now over that second place driver of Fetter Place.
First and second place right now. The Brendan and Brendan show have not won a single race besides Fetter Place winning the preseason clash, which isn't an official points race. Yes, he did get those 20 bonus points, but that's not an official win to get you guaranteed into the chase. So he's going to be wanting to try or be very loose on the low line. But the first and second have not won. So Batby, it's either a first-time winner or a 2-time winner. Both is going to be a first for something.
Everybody wants to be a part of history, and these drivers up in the 1 and 2 spot. We saw a couple laps ago from the onboard shot. This exact shot, big time loose for 6, but he holds on to it. 0.8 of a second, the current lead right now on lap number 291. These top 2 drivers, they want to join the ever-growing list of first-time winners here this season. But Batsby, he wants to ruin the fun. He wants to make his own list. He wants to be the very first driver to win multiple races here in Season 3. Is it going to be race number 8 here at Martinsville? 25 plus 8, 30, at least 12 laps to go here. But that back bumper of the 20 bank car is full of the Batby ride. The 89 looking high. Look at how cherry red those front brake rotors are, making that race car work, making those brakes stop. and making that throttle make the back end a little bit wonky. Loses a couple of positions on the track there, a couple of car lengths, but you can see driving that car extra hard, man. As a driver, take a look at this cockpit for me, the onboard of that number 89 car, and walk me through here, Kynan. How hard is this driver going?
So right now he knows, he's watching how much time he has left. You can see him really getting hard on the brakes, trying to settle the nose in, then he's getting back hard on the throttle. He's probably going to look to where he wants to put his car now. He's going to try, oh, what the hell, that's going to ruin that potential move, but he's now sees he's got the pace and he's going to be trying to make that work when we come back to green.
Testing and tuning and doing your homework. That's exactly what the 89 car was doing right there. He knows he's got just a little bit more time, potentially a couple of restarts between here and the end of the race, but he knows the time is now. Needs to find out what's going to work, what's not going to work for that 89 car, and it looks like he may very well be coming down pit road. We'll have to double check with that after this replay here, but man, take a look at this, and you can see the contact between, looks like the 78, a little bit of tap there in the quarter panel. The 51 sends him on around. The 9 car does a good job. Looks like he saves that car getting down onto the apron to get that thing saved, but man, oh man, getting down to the nitty gritty here. Double digit left to go, and it's going to be a doozy, and I'm telling you, that 89 car, he's down on pit road.
Well, this is going to make things very interesting. There's not a lot of cars left on the lead lap. 7 cars, it seems. Maybe 8. No, there is 8 cars left on the lead lap. So he doesn't have to fight for a lot of traffic. But he's going to have to get past. And with how much time left, there is not a lot of time to do it. So it's one thing to be on someone's bumper, but it's another to then get past.
You can see he definitely feels there's something amiss with that car as he's going to try and work on the damage. The only thing I can think of anyway, why he was down there and why he came down pit road, because you can see right now the pit stop strategy, the stint length, everybody's been down pit road between last 15, 20 laps or so, and we haven't really had too many green flag laps. So I don't know if the tires are going to help, but if he felt something broken in that car, definitely a good idea to come down pit road, get the thing worked out. We've seen this 89 car go from the back of the pack to the front, to the back, to the front, to the back, to the front, to the back a couple of times here tonight. And it's going to be fun to watch him do it one more time.
Yeah, he's made big charges through the field before. Looking back to Rockingham, went on to new tires with, can't quite remember how many laps left, but ended up going from all the way at the back and managed to make his way up into second position. So he has the pace, and definitely be interesting to see if he can cut his way through these couple of cars in his way.
And we've seen the reigning and defending series champion restart very well up towards the front. Very seldom have we seen him restart in traffic, and that's exactly where he's going to be. Looks like about the 6th position, 3rd row outside for that number 89 car is where he's going to get the restart. And you made mention of it. We're going to have 25, maybe 24 laps to go here. Once we take the green, the lights are off. The iRacing pace car. And Brandon 6 really been taking everybody to school on these restarts. He's going to have the number 20 car on the inside. Looks like Brandon 6 going to choose the outside for the restart here on lap number 300.
The 99 of Reed Aeneas having his issues early in this race, very early in fact. Managing to make his way up and currently running in the 3rd position, so it'll be interesting to see if he can maybe hold off and be able to take home a podium for the first time this season. But 6 getting to a very strong start, going to be able to easily clear Fetter Place again, going 3 wide, but be way up the racetrack. He's got to be careful not to lose positions to the cars behind, but he's going to stay in 5th position.
You can almost look at that and call it a brilliant move if it was in fact planned. Get everybody 3 wide and then get them single wide, because now the 89 car going to go to work dissecting these top 4 or 5 cars, top 3 cars now in his sights. He sees them single file in front of him. He's got the fresher tires underneath the race car of the number 89. You can see closes right up on the back bumper there of the 97 of Messer. Messer having a great recovery up in that 3rd position. How about it? 9 spots gained from where he started. Looks like yellow flag flies once again, this time for Christopher Schaefer in the 23 machine.
all this is going to be doing is playing into Batby's hands. He's able to then keep some tire and then it's grouping it back up together. Cautions breed cautions because of how they work. You get all grouped back up together. It's basically a reset, and when you come in and get new tires, you're going to be loose or you're going to be around cars again. When you have a long green flag run, you're going to start getting separated, but you can see just how much of a checkup, and then luckily not a lot of cars left on track, but was able to keep it to a single car incident.
Cautions breed cautions, and cautions breed restarts. And the 89 has been an ace all evening long. Every single restart we've seen him on, from the front of the pack to the mid pack, back into the back of the pack, been very, very strong. But also being strong, got to mention him, that 66 car of Brandon 6 up front. Brandon Fetterplace in the number 20 car. Brandon and Brandon up in P1 and P2. We made mention they want to join the list of first-time drivers this season, and neither of them has a win so far in 7 races. 2 races left after today before the playoffs, and these drivers want to make it into the playoffs and show that they're championship caliber, but they've got to beat the reigning and defending season champion of Batby in that number 89 car. And man, oh man, he's done a phenomenal job, Matthew Batby, in that 89 car of showing how strong that car is, how strong that team can be. He's already got himself a win this season, wants to be the very first driver to win multiple races here in Season 3. And is he going to do it right here on 10-4 Broadcasting? You're watching it, the High Octane Sim Series, really putting the high octane in this sim racing deal.
Yeah, it's definitely started to, as more cars have dropped out from nutrition, either reaching their car limit where the car doesn't work, or res control sadly having to intervene. It's meant that we've been able to get a bit more green flag running, and then we can really see what sort of racing can put on. We here at 10-4 Broadcasting, we support this series so much that we are sponsoring. So if you look on the banner on some of the cars that Trading Paints is actually working on, you will see the little 10-4 Broadcasting logo. So that's how much faith we have in the series. Yes, it's unfortunate to have this 1 or 2 bad races, but every league's going to have them. So just need to live through it and come back even stronger.
100%. 20 laps to go here in this one. It's definitely been an eventful evening, to say the least, but everybody trying to stick around. Drivers know that this racetrack, Martinsville, in any kind of simulation, real world, sim racing world, video game world, Martinsville's going to put on one heck of a show in its own right. And man, oh man, the racing has been intense for sure, and it looks like we're going to get that restart we've been looking for. Lights off on the iRacing pace car, I believe. Can't get a good shot. There we go. Just kidding. Lights off, lined up, 2 by 2. Taking a quick peek at the timing and scoring. 8 cars on the lead lap here. Gonna be one heck of a dogfight. There goes the pace car. He's gonna grab it on pit road. Easy enough for me to say. 66 choosing that outside line one more time. Brandon 6. Is he going to get the restart he needs? And you can see the bang machine, the number 20 of Fetterplace, trying to listen in to the gears and didn't quite get what he needed to.
Batby came very close to getting spun by the 97, but luckily there was enough room just to barely make it work. Very heads-up driving, and Batby's going to clear Fetterplace for the second position, but Fetterplace is going to look back to the inside, nearly making contact, so Batby is now unleashed to chase after 6.
And that's exactly where we've seen these two drivers all evening long. P1, P2, P2, P1, back and forth, swapping the leads on restarts, on green flag racing action, and that's what we're seeing right now. Going to cross this stripe. 16 laps to go. The 97 car off the pace in the back. We stay green. Heading on down into turn number 1. Brandon 6 holding on to it, doing everything he can to hold on to the bottom. Oh no! Loses the back end of the race car. We've talked about it all night long. Comes back up. We stay green. He loses that momentum. Almost comes up into the 78 car, but he's going to hold on to P3. Big time. We go big time. Late mistake. 15 laps to go. What do you do from here if you're the 89 car?
At this point, there's not a lot you can really do. You just need to find yourself back into a rhythm and chase back after Fetterplace. Maybe hope for a caution, but other than that, you've not a lot you can do. Maybe just settle in and take the third position. If you wreck and fall to 10th, you will lose points that you could have gained. But I've been saying, I said this last week, but to me, Matthew Batby reminds me of a certain Colton Herta from the real life IndyCar series. Very fast, but just makes a bit too many mistakes to really be able to be a dominant force. So if he can get those mistakes dialed out, he'll be very, very dominant. But moving back up and is going to close off the door to the 20. When you're going to think about making a way back past, but getting a little wiggle.
Little bit of a wiggle, big time loss for the 89 car. Moves back into second, but 2 seconds on back from our leader. Brandon Six watched that happen in his rearview mirror. His spotters told him exactly what happened. Look at that brake low on the front rotors for the 89 car, making that car work. Brandon Six has not let loose of that steering wheel. As a matter of fact, he's gripping it even tighter. Needs to hold on, make his marks, hit his marks throughout this racetrack. Lost about 0.2 of a second that time around the racetrack. Batby much quicker in that number 89 car, but does he have enough time? 10 laps to go here at Martinsville. Caution flag flies. Ian Jaden Cover.
Now what do you do with pit strategy?
Go stand in line for a hot dog. I mean, don't know. What do you do? There's 8 cars on the lead lap. Tires work, but no tires works as well.
If you're the leader, you can almost guarantee that Batby is going to stay out. You know he's quicker. Maybe you pit and then bring yourself to the behind him. But then if you do that, what if people behind you don't pit and then you can't get past in time?
And everybody is going to do exactly the opposite of what the leader does. The 66 pretty much making up everybody's decision for him. I think with 10 laps to go, if the 66 comes down pit road, everybody else going to stay out. I think if he drives on by, everybody else going to come down, see if they can get that last little bit of damage duct taped over, see if they can get 4 fresh Goodyear tires, if they've even got any left down in the pit area to get a little bit of an advantage. You can see the 10 car getting the wave by. Don't believe that's going to put him on the lead laps. No, still multiple laps down for the number 10. Gives us 8 drivers that realistically could win this race here at Martinsville with less than 10 laps to go. Going to be restarting with about 6 to go. What do you do from here?
If I was 6, I'd do exactly what he's just done. Stay out. Well, even though you're going to be left a sitting duck with those tires, but it's going to be difficult for Batby to pass you cleanly. I'm sure Batby will try to make a clean pass, but we might see another usual Martinsville bump and run, which hopefully doesn't end in catastrophe. But out of all this, I wouldn't completely count out Feta Playsville Lobos, Schaefer, Janicek, or even Reed Deninas. All of these drivers still reasonably have a shot at winning this race if Batby and Six get into each other and take each other out.
Crazier things have happened in the sim racing world. Crazier things have happened in the real racing world. And we've seen our second place driver from second place lose it all on his own. So stranger things can definitely happen here at Martinsville. Taking one more time, one more opportunity for everybody to get their virtual racing belts tightened on up, get that helmet on nice and tight, and get that focus, that laser focus that you need. The only kind of laser focus that you can get from W pre-workout powder. Google W, because their website's really confusing, even for a broadcaster standpoint. W.gg, www.w.gg. Check these guys out. Let them know that this Sim Racing League brought their attention. High Octane, bringing the thunder. They've got all the energy they need from W. And man, it's been an action-packed night. We're gonna see one heck of at least one more restart here.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and we can't count out those green-white checkers. We may get them if something goes wrong. Hopefully we don't need them, but looking back at New Hampshire, where the previous record was set at 32 cautions, we're currently sitting at 36. We finished under yellow, so hopefully we can actually finish under green, and hopefully we can all keep it clean.
And there you have it, the pace car. He's going to go down pit road one more again, give these drivers an opportunity to race this thing out to the checkered 66 down low, 88, 89 rather, up on the high side. Barney waits. He drops that green flag, racing once again. 4 laps to go. The 66 gets the whole shot. The 89 is there all over the back bumper. You can hardly put a piece of paper between the 66 and the 89. Thundering on down into turn number 3. Gonna be coming out of turn number 4, and caution flag flies. Looks like Cunningham is around.
Oh, that's a bit more damage than I was expecting.
Everything went a little bit worse than expected, and it looks like there might have been a little bit of contact here on this one on the restart. I will take a peek here, the 10-4 broadcasting instant replay, and there's the restart focusing on that number 9 car. And again, we apologize, we don't have everybody's paint schemes installed. A little bit of an issue with the Trading Paints app, but we'll get that worked out here. Hey, first time's a charge here for me at 10-4 Broadcasting. But there you see the 9 and the 51 going for that same piece of real estate, and a little boom, boom, pow for the 9 car. And looks like it might be done for the evening. Already multiple laps down. Currently scored in that 10th position. So we'll see if they can get maybe some hammers worked on. It looks like they're going to sit this one out, though. Down on pit road, still getting that thing worked on. They're putting tires on it. Maybe we'll see what the 9 car can do.
That's about it. Once those left sides drop, that's normally when the time you go. And with how that front right wheel was hanging off, I'd say, unless he somehow has a fast repair left, which I don't believe he does, I'd say that's going to be race over now. He's going to have to, yep, he's still in the pit as the pace car's coming around. So that'll be night over for him, sadly.
So that was just the pit crew putting on the old wagon tires to make sure they can get it up into the hauler and the heck out of here back to the virtual racing shop somewhere in iRacing land. I'm sure they have those. But man, oh man, a little green-white checkered action here for this 8th race of the Season 3 of the High Octane Sim Series here on the 10-4 Broadcasting Network. Man, oh man. Oh man. Lots of cautions here tonight. 37, a new 10-4 broadcasting record, beating the previous record at New Hampshire with 32. But the action has been intense all night long, and a lot of it's been between these two drivers on your screen. The 6 machine, the 66 machine of 6, Brandon 6, leading currently, led probably the better half of this race. And, pardon me, he's been working side by side against that 89 machine. They've been swapping the lead all night, back and forth. They both had some phenomenal restarts, but this is going to be the restart that matters. Both of these drivers going to be studying each other, coming out of 3 and 4, listening, trying to feel out that other driver, trying to feel out that car, trying to figure out when they're going to hit that loud pedal, because that is going to be the advantage. You almost have to win turn 1 to win the race on this one.
You need to try somehow pull away from Batbeat, because when it comes to that final lap, all bets are off, and that's when you're more likely to see the bump and run come into effect. And hopefully it's not used, but with how Batbeat has fouled in behind him, something tells me unless he can get a good run, it's going to be coming, unfortunately. But let's hope not.
66 down low, the 89 right in behind him, the 20 bang machine up high. How about the 78? Julio back up in the top 5. Green flag flies once again. The whole shot for the 66. He's going to pull away by 1, less than a half a car length over the number 89 car of Batbeat coming out of turn number 2. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air. The 89 making the move.
There it is.
Big time push, a little bump and run ski, a little side action to 66 around. He's going to take the 89 with him. The 20 involved as well. The white flag flew. They took the white flag, Christopher Schaefer, and the number 20 car. 1.2 seconds, the gap, trying to make his way back into 3rd, back into 4th, back into 5th gear, going to limp this thing around. The checkered flag is in the air. We're all drinking Pepsi tonight. How about it? Christopher Schaefer bringing that 23 car to victory lane.
Reedy and Mesa have somehow managed to claw their way and grab the final spot on the podium.
My, oh my. Well, we made mention
What?
earlier on, anything can happen in the sim racing world, and it sure as heck just did, because what the heck did we just watch? We're going to talk to the top 3 drivers here tonight. We're going to watch this 23 car burn them down, and we're going to take a look at the instant replay on that finish, because holy cow, was it a finish.
Wow. That I knew the bump was coming, but I said earlier on, any driver could really be in a chance to win if the leaders took each other out.
And lo and behold, it happened. Man, what a phenomenal finish here for the 10-4 Broadcasting Network's coverage of race number 8 at Martinsville. The 23 car of Christopher Schaefer coming home with the win. You can see, there he goes. He's going to burn him down. I had to make sure he passed the post-race tech, and looks like he may even be very well out of fuel. There's a lot going on with that 28 car. We're going to talk to him here momentarily, but you see the finishing order on your screen. Zach Rentonus in a 99 car got himself a podium, finished in second. Brian Messer, talked about him briefly, in the 97 car up towards the front. He gets himself a podium as well, finishing in third. Julio finishing fourth. Brandon sixth, sliding on back into fifth. Brandon Fetter placed in a 20 car, strong all night. He's going to come home in sixth, and that's really with Ian Janekek in the number 7 position. That's going to be the top drivers that are on the lead lap, and the rest of the order on your screen. But man, oh man, what a race that we had here this evening, and we're going to see if we can maybe catch up with some of the drivers here and talk to some of these drivers. Man, it's a phenomenal race.
That was quite the finish we had there. I thought something was going to go on, but that... I'm still lost for words.
Been a phenomenal race here this evening, and what a phenomenal finish, especially for the driver of that 23 car, Christopher Schaefer. First off, congratulations. Second off, tell us what's going through your mind, man. What a phenomenal way to come home with a victory.
Hey, listen up, man. It was an awesome race out there tonight, and I know there was a lot of cautions, but it is Martinsville, and a lot of guys got to realize that. The paperclip, bumper to bumper the whole time, and it's survival of the fittest. I think we started way back in the back, like 23rd, 24th, and just making our way through, using our fast repair on lap 100. And yeah, I mean, we got lucky at the end of the race. I mean, the big one happened there at the end. We were able to skeet through, and yeah, awesome win tonight.
And that right there is one of the things that I love about sim racing, that I love about doing the broadcasting thing. That's raw emotion with a lot of caffeine. It sounds like you did a pre-workout scoop, maybe 2 scoops of W pre-workout, but great to feel the energy, great to feel the excitement, coming home with a victory. A massive race here tonight, a long race, a little bit of a war of attrition, but being able to do the heads-up driving, come home with the victory, and take advantage of something else that happened on the track, and to do it with a broken race car, that's got to feel pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome feeling, you know what I mean? Like I said, it was a long race. We've been sitting around here now for 3 hours running this race tonight. So it definitely makes it worth its while when you bring home the win. So it was awesome tonight.
100%. We know drivers, sim racing and real racing, never do it alone. Who makes it happen for you? Who gets a virtual 23 car to and from the track each and every week?
Well, first off, I want to thank Broken Axle Motorsports. Anthony Monroe's got a pretty good team over there that he started up, 614 Graphics. Supernova Designs, who did this paint scheme, very awesome paint scheme, the Shockwave. And I want to thank CapsuleTimeLLC.com. Make sure you check them out. And that's who makes it possible for me.
Picking up the victory here, race number 8 here at Martinsville. Phenomenal showing here tonight. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
Absolutely. Going to slide it on down a little bit further on down the pit road. I believe you've caught up with our second place driver there, Kynan, and that's going to be Zach Redness.
How you guys doing?
Oh, you've got a copy. Great. So
for the record,
tell us.
We'll settle it right now. It's Redenius.
Redenius. Nailed it. Second try.
Yeah.
I'm still lost for words for what happened on that final little straightaway coming onto the white flag. Walk us through what you saw coming to the white flag there.
Just honestly, I just went looking for a hole, and I found one, and was able to get underneath. I think it was a 78 because they'd made it through. They were just made it through slower. And I just tried to not spin coming off a 4. I mean, I backed into a second place. Didn't deserve to be there, but I'm not going to complain about a good points day. So
After having quite a difficult season, we've seen you being caught up in a lot of accidents. What is it like to finally have some form of luck and manage to break through for a podium tonight?
I think for how the overall race went, and it being Martinsville, I think I kind of came out. Everything fell my way. I know it's hard to say with how much was going on today, and it's just nice for once to not get completely taken out or put multiple laps down because of other people's incidents. So I'll take it, and hopefully it starts building on more going into next week.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. So with how we saw on the broadcast, there was a lot of people having issues, especially when they got up out of that groove and got into the high line, especially in turn 3. Was it just a case of people downshifting and being too aggressive on the throttle, or was it something else going on?
As far as getting into 3, most of it were people are just trying to drive it in real deep, getting late on the brakes, and I mean, as soon as you come off that the concrete on the bottom and you get into that the rubber up on top, I mean, you just can't stop and you can't turn. You're just going to go into the wall. So, and unfortunately, it's the people that are getting in there too deep are usually underneath someone else. So it just turns into a calamity at that point.
Yeah, well, luckily you were able to survive the calamity. Who do you have to thank for helping you get out here and finally get some luck tonight?
Honestly, the whole JKRM team, they've been helping me throughout the season and trying to get better, trying to get used to the next gen cars, which has been a huge adjustment. And all of our sponsors, I'm running RC Detail tonight, so big shout out to them and to the whole crew and everyone that helps me make this happen.
Alrighty then, we'll let you go celebrate with your team, which might be going off and not celebrating, but I'm sure with you getting some luck, they can celebrate something.
Yeah, it's good points day for some of us, so we'll take it and move on.
Alrighty then, I'll talk to you hopefully next week at, I'm trying to remember where it is, Kansas.
Oh, well,
Okay,
hopefully. Thank you.
Yep, take care.
And even a little bit further on pit road, a man that was on the outside looking in, but a good points day nonetheless for Ryan Messer, coming home with a third place finish. Came into tonight 11th in points outside of the top 10. A good points night. That might put you right back in the inside of the top 10. Talk to us, man.
Yeah, the strategy all day today was try not to get caught up in something, to try and capitalize on many points as I could. Having not raced a couple races this year, obviously I'm outside looking in, trying to grab every position I can. But pretty much the way everybody was racing, I was in pretty much survival mode for the majority of the race.
And that's one of the things we mentioned a couple of times here tonight, a little bit of a war of attrition. Many cautions here at Martinsville, but it definitely kept all of us on our toes. And what kind of goes through your mind at that point when you get into the 3-hour mark of a race? It's definitely a mental demand. It's a bit of a physical demand, but what goes through your mind as a sim racer getting into it, knowing that you've still got to stay sharp until the checkered flag waves?
Just comic relief at this point. To be honest, we were trying to keep it light, keep it friendly in our team chat, because obviously that many hours, having done the Daytona 24, you're very tense the whole time, and your foot's cramping up because you don't want to run over this person in front of you under caution. You've got to also keep the brakes warm, the tires warm, and try to cool them down when you're on long stretches. So yeah, it sucks. I mean, I think a couple of us had to stop in the middle of the race to use the restroom, but at that point I was pretty much in a good position. I just wanted to finish in the top 10, and that was my goal for the day.
Well, goal definitely achieved, finishing here on the podium in P3. And we know all sim racers, all real racers, they don't do it alone. Who makes it happen? Who gets you to and from the virtual racetrack here with the 97 crew?
So I'm gonna have to get a shout out to my cousin Alex Vance, Tire and Automotive, out of Waynesville, North Carolina. He's a real-time dirt racer, late model. If it wasn't for him and him inspiring me to want to just be like him, probably wouldn't even be able to do this whole thing, to be honest. I'm stationed in Japan, so it's a Saturday day for me, and the only reason why I do it is because I want to represent him well and give the family, a good recognition.
And that's what it's all about. That's what we do, why we do what we do here in the sim racing world, the broadcast world. We try to entertain the masses, and we try to do right by the ones that do right by us. But man, solid run here tonight. Good finish, good points night. On to next week at Kansas, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for sticking around as well. It means a lot.
100%. And Kynan, man, that's one heck of a debut for me. That was an eventful race.
Yeah, it was quite an eventful night of racing. Going into Martinsville, we expected chaos, but new 10-4 broadcasting caution record set by the previous record holders of High Octane Sim Series. But next week at Kansas, it will be a lot cleaner, stepping away from the short tracks, but it's going to be certainly an exciting night, and good work or good job for tonight. It was certainly an exciting race and certainly something hard to keep up with here for your first time with a team.
Absolutely, but it's been a phenomenal night. Very entertaining here at Martinsville. Race 8 in the books, on to race number 9 next week at Kansas. Going to be able to check that out right here on to 10-4 Broadcasting. Got to thank Captain Jack Smokehouse one more time. Phenomenal looking food there. I'm telling you, I'm going to make the road trip. I'm going to get it checked out. I love me some barbecue, man, and we'll have to figure that out. I'll have to talk to the boss man. Maybe you can get a little hookup or something. Definitely got to check those out. Thank you so much for supporting those that support our hobby here with sim racing, and also got to thank W Pre-Workout. Telling you, I got a batch of this in my work truck every single morning. Dry scoop it, 1, sometimes a little 2. Monday morning blues, you get a little energy kick. Gotta love the stuff. Check it out, w.gg. Let them know that the High Octane Sim Series Network sent you. Sim Series sent you here from the 10-4 Broadcasting Network. But from everybody up here, up in the booth, I am, in fact, Paul Strickland Jr. Appreciate the opportunity jumping up on here in the booth. Kynan, been phenomenal working with you. Kynan Jones from down in Australia. I think you're getting ready for breakfast. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning there, right?
It's actually 1:19 p.m., so I'm actually going to have to start getting a design finished for the Le Mans 24-hour, which starts in 3 hours and 40 minutes.
And that right there is long-term storytelling. Gonna have to get them a scoop or two of that W pre-workout powder. For everybody here with the High Octane Sim Series here on the 10-4 Broadcasting Network, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for spending your Friday evening here with us. We will catch you on the flip side. When we do, we are gonna be doing it live.